What's all the Omnifuss about then?
I should have remembered to remove that picture. See, I'm not a professional, but it's okay. We have an audience of one, and I think that one might be my other YouTube account, so we're okay. But we're here for another live edition of What's All the Omnifuss About, and I am joined by some of UK comic book royalty, again, as I was last month. This time I have Martin.
Hey.
And I have Chris from Off My Shelves.
Hello. There's nothing that can live up to that countdown.
That's a good one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's scary, I'll be honest, because I was like, this is going to end, and then it's going to be us. It feels like something big should happen.
Yeah, but it did end, and it wasn't us, because I cocked it up and left that previous image still on the screen, so it softened the blow, you know.
It did soften the blow.
It did soften the blow. But yeah, we're just here to hang out, really, to have a chat about all the best thing about collected editions, stuff that we've picked up, stuff that we've read, stuff we recommend, stuff that's coming out, and just have a general chat about the books and the stuff that we love. That sound good?
Yeah.
So I do aim to do this every month. This month, well, the month of November was quite busy, and the remaining of December, as everyone would be the same, is quite busy. So this is the only Friday night I could fit this in. So it was like a last minute jobby trying to get people in. Thankfully, Martin and Chris has volunteered their time. They don't care for the World Cup, you know, whatever. Wales are out, for example, so you really don't care about the World Cup.
I genuinely have no care for the World Cup at all now. Yeah, not okay.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean, Northern Ireland aren't in it, so I didn't really have an interest.
I know. At least Wales actually, you know,
say it
got in.
Oh, so this is the first time since 1950. Do you know we were in twice in between that? You know,
but this year, now, like.
Well, we're in a transitional period of rebuilding the squad. So
we're in a transitional period of getting.
You are not. A transition from one plane to another.
Well, I don't watch football, so I think England are just trying again. I'm assuming.
Pass. I mean, I think the only people who want England to do well are the English. Like no one else wants England to do well.
I love people. There was loads of people on like Facebook and other things like that the other day saying, "Oh well, you know, the English would be more supportive of the Welsh. If the Welsh weren't so negative about the English winning all the time." And I wanted a message going, in fairness to us, you did repress us for quite a significant amount of time. Do you know what I mean? I'm not casting any aspersions, but we got time to heal. We got to have time to heal, you know.
And well, we've all the time in the world now, and there's nothing that works better for healing relationships than getting together and having a chat and a little drink. I have myself a little rum and coke, which I definitely needed this Friday evening. And Chris has went Oriental. I see that.
Yeah.
Yes, hey.
I got some nice. Yeah, I just call it ashy because I'm a bit calmer. I just call it have some ashy.
Maybe that is how it's pronounced.
I don't think it is.
But I did notice this. But backstage, I noticed Martin drinking from a straw, drinking a can from a straw. Like,
it's my novelty cup I got on holiday from Monsters Inc. The old screen.
Nice. Yeah.
He's like the people I used to hang around with on the streets in my youth. They say, if you drink it through a straw, you get drunk quicker.
It is true. Because one of my, well, not true, but one of my drinks was I used to drink was vodka and water, which sounds revolting, and it is. But if you drank it through a straw and didn't breathe while you drank it, you didn't taste it.
There's an awful lot of stuff going on there that you've got to do to make it palatable. You could just adjust the recipe to make it like easy to drink, but no, you gotta have this. You can't breathe. You gotta drink it through a straw.
Yeah, but water helped with the hangover the next day. Coke, if you had to Coke, for example, just make it gassy. So vodka and water through a straw, don't breathe. You will get drunk and you'll be fine the next day. Well, I say fine, not really fine, but all right. We do have somebody in the chat. Thank goodness. I'm so happy. Connie's here. Hi, Connie.
Hello, Connie.
What up, nerds? Be prepared to be Water, the free mixer. This is true. It was my university days when you couldn't really afford.
And she's the young one. You know, she knows she's down with the youth.
Don't- Every chance she gets, Chris, she likes to put that boot in that she's young. You know, like 5 years ago or something. I left school in 2004, but who's counting?
I'm not going to say when I left school.
Okay.
I've got people online. They've got this perception of me of being quite a young, you know, hip, happening, cool guy.
That's
And
exactly what I. That's exactly what I think.
I don't want to spoil it by saying the reality. Yeah. So
We also have Pete from Triple G Comics, and now then, he's like, "What is
Hey,
this?"
Pete.
This is three handsome chaps have the chat about comic books. Yeah, here we are, Connie. I left school in 2015.
Wow. That's mad.
That's like I was married now by that point. It's like I was like an old man with like
I was nearly
responsibilities.
divorced.
Oh dear. So we are here. We are here for books, for comics, for stories, and I think a good way to I always find a good way to kind of get stuck into the conversations to have a good pickup. You know, show us your pickup, show us your haul, the things you've hauled the recent weeks or months, or some stuff you want to show off. Now, last month we were trialing things and how they worked, and we kind of done one at a time. And you don't realize how long it takes when you're doing one at a time until you do it, and it takes a long time, you know. So I just think it'd be easier that if we just show us all your picks in one go, then move on to the next person, and then the next person. So Martin, because I know you have yours there, where Chris needs to kind of go venture through his life doing the grab stuff.
How many? How many
just,
do I need?
just whatever.
Let's see how many Martin's got.
Yeah.
I've got 5. I've got
There we
5.
go.
5. Jesus. Okay. Okay.
Oh, all right, Martin. So, no, you've recently been away on holiday and honeymoon and things. So
Yeah. My mum was kind enough to let me send all my Forbidden Planet orders and stuff to her house while I was away. So I flew back in on the Sunday lunchtime. I was around her house picking up the parcels.
So priorities
Congratulations on the wedding, by the way.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's it was lovely. It's a great time. But I'm glad I got my books. So first one I got, so the smallest, I picked up the standard hardcover of Batman Spawn. Even though while I was on holiday and this had been dispatched, DC have announced they're doing a deluxe edition in March.
Oh.
So I will rebuy it again because I'm that type of guy.
Are you a Spawn? Like you must be a Spawn guy, obviously, if you bought it. But like,
I do like Spawn. Yeah, I do like Spawn. I've got a couple of the compendiums, but when they start reprinting the hardcovers, like the image hardcovers, not the deluxe ones, the normal sort of like the Walking Dead sort of size, I'm going to start picking up those.
Nice.
So I think they're nicer. They look nicer on the shelf.
I think they'd still be considered the deluxe ones. It's the other ones that are like a unique name. They like got the mega expensive upgraded ones, and I can't remember what they termed them and what they called them. But they just released Savage Dragon in deluxe, so they seem to be going through all the classic lines and everything. So Spawn is obviously going to happen sooner or later, isn't it?
And as well, 'cause that's obviously a DC crossover. I think DC have what's that character's name? It was Jim Lee's property when he was at Image. Has a red mask.
Wildstorm.
Wildstorm, yeah. So they've relaunched that in amongst DC at the minute. Is it Grifter? Is that the name? Grifter?
Yes. Yeah.
So there's definitely an appetite for that kind of old Image stuff, isn't there?
DC bought Wildstorm ages ago, so they own a lot of the rights for Wildstorm characters and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's been those kind of characters that were made for in the mid 90s at Image. There seems to be a lot of interest in collecting their stuff at the minute. Which maybe it's because people just think modern day stuff isn't as good as back in the 90s. I don't know. I'm quite a fan of the 90s stuff. See,
I've always been a fan of Spawn from when I was young anyway. I used to watch the animated show and I watched the cheesy film. But I love the character. I've always thought it's a dark, interesting character. So as I've got older now and I can actually physically buy some of the books, I'm going to start building a little Spawn collection. and I've got a couple of the compendiums, but I only bought those so that they would know that people want to buy them and hopefully get the hardcovers reprinted.
So you're sacrificing some of your hard-earned cash, so in the hope that they bring out more deluxe editions.
And then they did it.
Yeah.
And the old Top Fathers come out and admitted that they are going to reprint them, so I'm happy.
As Peter's saying, the Spawn Origins deluxe editions are pricey but sexy. I have to admit,
Origin Deluxe, is that what they call it? Wow.
I've never read Spawn, and I don't think I ever will. I think it's one of those. It's one of those ones. It's too far gone. There's too many issues that I don't want to dive into it. However, it does. It's always looked incredible. Even like Todd McFarlane stuff. Even when Greg Capullo was on it, it always looks spectacular. I just don't know if I have what it takes to dive into that.
So 300 something issues now, aren't they?
Yeah,
there's a long way in.
But the good thing about for single issue wise, like they're still quite cheap. I think they're $2.90 for a single issue, which I mean DC and Marvel are at the $4. I think Image have always kept most of their books. I think Saga's the same. They're always just $2.90. So the fact that they keep it that cheap and they continue to sell them shows that works
and sell well.
Yeah. But I've always thought people who actually buy Spawn are something a bit strange about them, though.
Yeah.
In a good way, in an endearing way. Yeah, that Batman Spawn, does that glow in the dark as well? I think it does.
I don't know.
He's just trying to force you to turn your lights off.
No, I genuinely.
I don't know.
I think it
does.
I think it does. I think if you feel around some like the splashes, because I had it in my hand the other day and I was just looking at it, and I think some of the wee kind of flecks or whatever. I think they
might do. Yeah, it's got a weird feel to the front.
Yeah, I think they do.
The deluxe one, every part of it will glow in the dark.
Yeah.
Literally just beaming out to you.
Absolutely.
You know, it's mad how that happens though, because it feels like they're having. It feels like they're doing it to piss you off, like. But genuinely, there's such a demand out there for standard hardcovers and standard editions that they kind of just go through the motions. The only difference is that they've sped up the time in between. So it's like trade paperback, standard hardcover, oversized hardcover, all within a year now, rather than before where you would go the whole year with just one edition. They've just kind of sped the whole thing up, and they just print less of each one. But it's super annoying though when you like oversized hardcovers that they release the standard and you think, oh, I'll grab that. And then they announce it.
Yeah, although there's one, is it called The Last God, or it's something different now? The Felspire Chronicles.
Yeah,
and that's one that needed the oversized treatment, but they re-released it because of the name change, and they still kept it standard sized. Like that just goes straight to oversized. There's no question. It's daft. I'm not a big fan of standard size hardcovers. I have some, but I mean, if you're going to go hardcover, you might as well go that a little bit extra and make it bigger, because it's
I'll go standard if it's the only option. Yeah. If it's the only way I can get hold of that book in a hardcover, I'll happily buy the standard, and it doesn't faze me. But if a deluxe comes out or an oversized comes out, I will upgrade, and then I'll sell it on. So like this one, even though like the deluxe is coming out, I will wait for the deluxe, and then I will sell this on when they all go out of print.
And then when they release the omnibus after that, you'll buy that too?
No.
Okay. I'm only saying that because of like one book that I can think of is Batman the White Knight. So I have the single issues. I then had the first trade paperback. Then I had the first hardcover, which is standard hardcover. Then they released a deluxe, I think last year, maybe a year before. I have that. And no doubt it's going to become an omnibus at some stage whenever the whole thing's finished. So that's maybe 2 or 3 years down the line. And I'll probably buy that as well. So I've won every stage just to get that story. It's fantastic. There's me doing my part by buying all the stuff beforehand in hope that they release the hardcover or the omnibus or what's the absolute edition or something, you know.
I just try to kind of find the edition that I like the best, which is not always the biggest, not always, but I don't know. I'm kind of weird sometimes with that. Sometimes I'm quite content with standard hardcover or standard trade paperback. But then other times I'm like, nah, that needs to be. I need to upgrade. I need to go further. Like Greg Capullo and Scott Snyder's Batman. I still got all the standard hardcovers for them because some of them I've kind of got sentimentality, I think, attached to them, and some of them I just never like. The Omnibus is the next up, and I'm like, nah, if they'd released the whole thing in Absolute, maybe, but Omnibus, I'll stick with the standard for now, save myself money. It's not the end of the world for me, but then others, it's the total end of the world. Yeah. Honestly, though, if they did go beyond the Court of Owls with Scott Snyder's and Greg Capullo's run, I definitely would have gone the whole lot Absolute, but it would annoy the life out of me to just have that one part of the epic story in Absolute. So I've never gone down that road.
Yeah, I'm the same. I have the standard hardcovers, and I've bought the 2 omnibus, but I've kept the hardcovers because sentimental reasons. They were one of the first books I bought back in 2012 or 13 when they first came out. So that was me thinking the New 52. It's rebooting the whole universe. This is my chance to jump in, but I didn't want single issue, so I bought the hardcovers. So they were literally my first comic books, the collected editions that I ever bought, and I've got the omnibus, but I can't part with the standard one, so it's a complete waste of money, really, to be honest. But my intention was to sell them on because I think some of them can get. When I say price, I don't mean like they're ridiculous money, but they'll sell more than what you think for because people still want those editions, which you can't get. But I just can't. I can't seem to, list them on the old eBay and get rid of them. I just can't do it.
So some of these standards go for high prices because I was considering picking up more Batman runs, like modern Batman runs, in the standard hardcovers to avoid going the omnibus route.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you look at the first one of James Tynion's, that's going for ridiculous prices. I'm talking 100 and something pounds on eBay. You just can't get it.
That's madness.
And it's like 6 issues.
Yeah.
And I don't want to buy it in trade paperback because if I buy trades, I feel like I want to custom bind them.
Mm-hmm.
So then it's just going to cost even more. So I've just got to patiently sit and wait for an omnibus one day. And it's more frustrating with DC because DC's not like Marvel. They don't churn everything out.
Mm-hmm.
So just a waiting game with DC, I find. I'm more of a DC fan than I am Marvel. So it's a bit of a struggle.
I think we discussed last month on the show that DC seemed to be in a bit of a weird place at the minute with the whole continuity. I think they've got 2 big events scheduled, to kind of dictate the direction they're going over the next year or two. But so what's one are they following? It's I think Joshua Williamson's in charge of one, and there's somebody else I can't think who it is.
Mark Waid.
I think it is Mark Waid. Yeah, you're right. And it's they can't seem to decide what route they're taking. And even when it comes to hardcovers, they don't seem to want to release a lot at the minute.
It's a mess at the moment. I don't read most modern stuff. I try and stay away from it. I think the most modern book I actually physically own is Tynion's Detective Comics run, which is the Rebirth run. I don't own anything DC beyond that point because I just think, or tell a lie, I am lying there. I've got Dark Knight's Metal, like the deluxe edition, and a couple of the trades for that.
No, I think Tynion's run is after that.
Is it?
I think it was either at the same time or just slightly after. Very close.
That
but I
era.
was looking now, and I'm thinking I'm exactly the same. Yeah, I'm exactly the same. That's the most modern DC I've got as well. Is Metal and Tynion's run.
Because there's nothing else. Everything seems to get slated. You hear about bad writers and bad art. I don't know who. I don't want to cast aspersion, but
you're very nice.
Put it out there, but
it's only Pete and Connie. They wouldn't grass up.
But there's a lot of negativity towards some artists and writers at the moment that are putting out subpar work for DC.
See, this is the thing that I don't really have that much of an opinion on this because I still feel like I'm quite new within comics. 4 years or so actual property buying comics, obviously the New 52 stuff 10 or so years ago. But in terms of the writers, someone said to me before, DC don't seem to want to employ well-known established writers, And I don't know if it's the case they're giving the youngsters they're giving like unknowns more of a chance, or they just don't want to seem to pay the money to get. Do you know, like Snyder, for example, he was DC's golden boy for a long time.
Yeah.
And he hasn't been in DC obviously since Death Metal, but he has no appetite, I don't think, at the minute to go back to DC to do books. He's obviously doing his own imprint. There's lots of people doing their own imprints, and they're on that Substack, whatever it's called, and releasing digital-only issues and things like this. Like, I just don't see like well-known guys running to work for DC. Mark Waid may be the exception, if he's taken on the kind of the forerunner for wherever they're going in their universe. But it seems to be they want to just do things cheaply, and maybe the quality isn't the same scratch as it was.
You can understand, can't you? You can understand why some of these big names don't want to go back. I can either go back to characters I've done or approach characters that have got so much lore behind them, or I can do my own thing, have full creative control, and put out independent work. You can understand why they want to go that route. You know, you can't blame them.
Yeah, I think as well. But I think because DC is a bit of a mess, like they don't want to work that hard to fix it. If you know what I'm trying to say, they can make that same money elsewhere and not put as much effort into trying to create something new. So they just kind of leave it be.
If you had a load of IPs that were bringing you more money in from toys and comics, you're going to invest your money in toys. Simple as that, really. And that's kind of what's happening. The situation with DC is that they've got so many recognizable characters that they can earn vast amounts of money from other media than comics. Comics makes them nothing. But as is same in Marvel, it's like a breeding ground for the plots and storylines and ideas that can then factor into the other strands of it. And it feels at the moment that's the only reason the DC and Marvel comics are still producing.
Yeah,
I actually to get that wider ideas going.
I had this conversation with the guy who owns my local shop, Alan, and he was explaining how you're right. They don't make a lot of money from comics. They make more money in terms of like the sales of comics. I should say they probably make more money with advertising. Like we've all read that DC book. You're flicking through it, and all of a sudden you get the Snickers advert. You know, like they're making more money that way through advertising in their books than they maybe are through sales of the actual story as such. Obviously, as Chris was saying, toys, animated movies, other films, whatever.
Well, it's not even that though. You look at like Batman Arkham Asylum games and Arkham City and all that. They would have earned more off the IP for those games than any of the comics, without a shadow of a doubt. And so it begs the question: if you're in this gigantic multinational corporation, where are you going to direct your money? Like you're going to direct it to where the guaranteed payday is, basically. And until that guaranteed payday shifts to comics again, which it was in like the mid to late 90s and the 60s and stuff, they're not going to be investing and nurturing it as much as it before. Like I've said before, well, the quality of the product that they put out is priced higher or the same as every other publisher, but it is worse quality because they're trying to scrimp and save left, right, and centre.
It's worse than that. What they're for DC, what they actually do is they charge extra for a single issue now, but they give you 2 stories. So they give you the main story and then maybe like 10 pages of like a secondary story that you don't really care for, you know. But they throw it in there. You think you're getting 2 stories, when really you're not, because no one cares about the secondary stuff really. So they're just making more money, and you know, even with Marvel, as you know, the paper quality is really, really shit. So like they're skimping on that as well. Connie is saying the DC continuity is the most confusing thing she's ever tried to tackle, and she's like 6 master's degrees. So it's like that says something, you know.
But what are her masters in?
I don't know. I don't want to offend her by making stuff up. But yeah, like I don't know. DC's weird. I think again they're owned by AT&T. I think. Do they own them?
Warner Discovery, isn't it?
Yeah, but there's something above them, isn't there? Was it? It used to be AT&T, like the telephone company. Yeah,
it was them, wasn't it? I think AT&T sold it on to Warner
Discovery.
but then they're trying to sell it off now themselves, aren't they?
Because all they care
That's
about,
good.
they're just looking at the sales figures. They're looking at the numbers, the stats. They don't care about the quality of the story. Like, Batman story is really good. There's a lot of fans interested in it. They don't care for that.
No.
They just want to see, is it making money? Yes or no. If it's not, we'll cut that off and make money elsewhere.
That's why often you see the best and the worst stories in the independent publishers, because they're experimental breeding grounds. You'll get that middle of the road or very good story from the big two. You might get absolutely terrible ones, but generally they kind of play it safe. You know what I mean? It's not horrible, but it's not excellent. Don't get me wrong, there are a lot of in-betweens as well. But in general, the independent comics, they're either mental good or awful. There is no in-between because it's that experimental ground. Like, you either absolutely love it and you buy everything you can, or you literally just go, that was terrible, don't know what's happened to them. But there's no real middle of the groundwork. Everyone really just puts their all into, will this work, and different ideas and stuff like that. And it's a great breeding ground, I think, independent publishers at the moment. And yeah, I think it's the future of the kind of comics industry, to be honest, independent publishers. I really do.
I just think, likes of, like, I get with Batman, especially if there's movies coming out, they almost want all their books to align with the movies or the TV shows, whatever comes out. Sometimes I think if sales get so bad, if things become so bad, just experiment with that. Just give someone free reign to do Batman, in whatever way you want to do it. It's either going to really feel really badly, or, like you're saying, it will be magnificent.
Like, sometimes they do get through. Like, Metal is a perfect example where it did get through this absolutely bonkers idea. I remember, like, flipping through the first couple of pages of Metal, and, like, Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo were, like, depicting almost like this Power Ranger type being, where all the Justice League were taking part of this. What Metal was to do, like, what the hell am I reading here? This is mental. But it was mental in a really good way. And they do get through now and again, but I think it takes a lot of sway, and Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo had that sway.
I was about to say, like, DC trusted them. They completely trusted them to do this.
It's like Morrison, isn't it? If you look at the first half of the Batman's Morrison run, it is very standardized. But then as it goes on, it's mental. It's just like so, like, high concept and off the wall and violent and ridiculous. And again, I think you need to prove yourself so significantly with the big publishers.
I think that's the issue with DC, is they don't have someone like that at the minute they can trust with anything. Like, say, Mark Waid is there at the minute, but I'm assuming they brought him because he was I don't think he was at Marvel exclusively, but he wasn't DC. Sure, he wasn't. I know he done the Flash and stuff, but he hadn't done a DC book in a good long time.
He had a blowout with one of the editors, if memory serves, and he was not allowed. There was a legal battle of some kind, I think. So but then the person who works there, this is like half a story in the worst way, sorry. But yeah, I'm sure the person who works there moved on, and then they came in after that regime had left, if you want to put it like that. And he came back because Mark Waid is like the world's biggest Superman fan, so he'll always go to DC. If he can get the same money that he's getting elsewhere, he'll go to DC because he is a gigantic Superman fan. Ridiculous Superman fan.
Is that why they stuck him on World's Finest?
That's honestly,
he came back on, didn't he?
It is a mental Superman fan. Like, you meet those people that know every element of every character. Mark Waid is that guy for Superman. Honestly, it's crazy.
Wow.
And you've just reminded me of the second thing they're doing at DC. It's definitely a Superman-centric. Because Superman's coming back, because at the minute you have the son of Kal-El. I think Clark Kent, Superman's coming back some point later on this year. And with Mark Waid being there, I'm assuming he's the one leading the way for that. So maybe that
would have been the thing that brought him in, I'm sure.
Yeah,
that would have been the thing. Yeah.
So that was your first pickup, Martin. That was a good tangent.
28 minutes.
That's good. We're here all night.
Sticking with the DC theme, for me, there was a couple of grails from with omnibuses. So I was unlucky enough to miss a couple. There was 3 in particular. Wonder Woman by Gail Simone, which I got last year. Then I got Brightest Day Omnibus. Got that in the reprints. And the last one I finally got, which is the Grayson Omnibus. So
Is that the reprint that just came there, or is it?
Yeah, the 2022 edition. So finally got my hands on that. So I can actually sit down and read Nightwing's full New 52 run, as far as I'm concerned. So I felt like I had half the story with just the Nightwing one. So
I know the Nightwing one. I forget what it's called. What's the
Prince of Gotham?
Prince of Gotham. So that's literally the first half of his New 52 run, and then I'm assuming something happens and he becomes Grayson.
I don't know. I didn't start reading it, and then I think I was talking to Highland G one night when we were having a discussion, and I think he said, "Oh yeah, it goes into Grayson." I'm like, "Oh, I haven't got Grayson."
You do now.
I do now, but now at that point, I was thinking I've got half a story, so I've been desperate. I've already had maybe 2 copies of this. I paid £90 for it one time on Amazon, and it came in and it was beaten to hell, so I had to send it back. I bought it from a shop in Croydon area down here in the south.
You never buy from Croydon. What are you doing, man?
It was another 90 quid to try and get it, and it sent through, and it had a printing defect on it. Perfect condition, but had a printing defect. The pages were actually still together, like stuck all together. So I had to send that back. It's just, this has been my unlucky DC Omni to get hold of. So,
and that's still in the wrap. So you need to open that. I'm assuming to check that the same defect isn't there.
I've already checked. I go around every single one with a fine tooth comb to check to see if there's any minor issues with paper and stuff like that.
Because DC are known for that. I think they're all known for it. But there was something. Was it the Superman? Grant Morrison Superman book came out like a year or so ago, and like a whole page had like no narration, no words in the speech bubbles.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
And they missed one of the creative team off the front of the book as well.
Yeah. Genuinely though, you can, like you just said, Phil, you can play that at any I know Dark Horse, Neil Gaiman's American Gods, like literally printed a page twice and other stuff, and there's tons out there that get through the mix.
My memory is terrible, but we had Adam on the show last month, and he picked up the Incals, I had it's pronounced.
Yeah,
but was he missing the art portfolio section?
Yeah, he said that he didn't get the art portfolio in his thing, which is a weird thing to miss out.
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't understand how publishers totally leave a whole separate piece of the book out like that. Like, fair enough, leaving the artwork out maybe, but leaving the actual portfolio that they send out is just weird.
So you've picked up Nightwing as well. Like I always remember Comic Airwaves, and we asked the question, who would win, Nightwing or Daredevil? And I don't know if you were watching Comic Airwaves at the time, Martin, but there's a video by Chris who went through his reasons why Nightwing was shit, basically, and it was quite fun to watch. I think it's because you basically owe like most Daredevil books and not a single Nightwing book, and it's because Nightwing is shit.
Yeah, I did it for mainly comedy value.
Oh yeah, I get it.
But I don't disagree with myself.
To be fair, the new Nightwing by Tom Taylor, it's my first time kind of jumping into Nightwing, and I do enjoy that. I just don't know if I have an appetite to go back and read much more, other than the stuff like when Dick Grayson becomes Batman. I think is good stuff. But that's a grail of yours. I'm glad you have it, Martin.
Finally got it down. Do you want me to move on to the next one?
Yeah, we'll move on.
Yeah. This is one you'll like, Phil, because I know me and you are both going through the Spider-Man stuff.
Oh, yes.
So I know Volume 4 of the original stuff isn't due till August next year, but
nice.
Peter Parker's Spectacular Spider-Man. So again, this is going to be another one that goes in the mix with that run. And it's got the nice new pretty spine on it as well.
Yeah. I don't mind the spines. My issue with the spines was because I had volume 2 of the Silver Age, like the original stuff, and it was the old spine. So I had pre-ordered 3 and 5 last year, and then 1 came out earlier this year. And the spines are fine, but when they don't match, as like the series don't match together, that's what irks me. So I got Roy from Instagram. If you know, there's a guy called Roy on Instagram, does custom dust jackets. So I got one of him, and I printed one off, and now all the spines match. Because I just got number 2 changed. I didn't care to have the other 4 like bigger. I just wanted all 5 the same. I say all 5. I haven't got volume 4 yet. That'll be coming, like I say, in August. But that I missed the boat on like the pre-order for that. Like what's it called? The FOC.
Yeah.
So I don't like to buy books after that point because I don't like the not knowing if you're going to get it or not. Because like Forbidden Planet, for example, one time I bought a book that was past the FOC, and it just said on back order, and I'm just like I can see it elsewhere, but like, do I just cancel this and buy it, or what do you do, type of thing? So I hate that kind of like anxiety around the book, so I've just left it. I will get it at some point. I don't think it's hard to get, but I will be getting that hopefully.
Well, I got this one from Speedy Hen.
Oh, nice.
I picked it up on their Black Friday code. It's the only reason I bought it from them.
Nice.
Is there still a Black Friday?
Save yourself at least £6 there. At least £6.
That's the main reason I got it there. Otherwise, I probably would have gone Books, etc. or Forbidden Planet.
Yeah. You just reminded me there, actually, because I don't know if I told this before. I had Gotham Central booked or bought through Speedy Hen. It's available in Forbidden Planet. It's available in other shops, but for Speedy Hen, it was £44 delivered. So I just kind of refused to pay the extra money. I'll just wait until I get it from Speedy Hen. And they emailed me the other day saying they've contacted the distributor and they expect it in by the end of the year. So patience, it works. It works to hold off to get the good price.
Been saying that. That's what, a couple of weeks away?
Yeah, exactly. So it should
be positive. Yeah.
Even though I think it's 57 on Forbidden Planet, then plus the £5. Or no, it's 52 plus the £5 postage. But I just didn't want to pay that extra, 13, 14. I just didn't want to.
See, for me, I would have bit the bullet by now and probably just changed it and gone Forbidden Planet, and then I would have put a load of pre-orders in with it to justify my order and the postage. But it's more of that FOMO of missing a Brubaker DC book.
That's the thing. I think I was patient because I knew I can see it elsewhere. So I was confident if it doesn't come in again, it's at a certain point I will buy it again. Plus, I'll just watch Marcus's Whale Watch and see once it's going to go out the window, and I'll buy it then if it was stuck. But I'm good to go. The Speedy Hen are coming through for me, which is nice.
I got a theory that if you don't buy a book there and then, if you procrastinate forever on a book, then you don't really want it. And I've really noticed that the books that I take ages buying and don't just go, oh yeah, I need that, boom, buy. I never read and I always end up selling them on because I never really wanted them in the first place for some reason. They sounded interesting, or maybe they're a creative team that I wanted, but ultimately they didn't have that immediacy. And so when they come through the door, they kind of go on the shelf. And because they didn't have that real pull, that's where they stay.
Yeah, so, I agree. There are certain books I have that are still in the wrap that I haven't read. And I was I had to buy it there and then, but didn't read it. And there's books like Gotham Central that I can wait. But the reason why I think I could do that is because I have so many books still in the cellophane wrap on the shelf that I feel guilty for reading new stuff before I read the stuff I actually own. But we'll talk about this later on. But the Omnibus is coming out in December. That's the Donny Cates one. I read the single issues. I've read the whole run. I've read the King Black stuff, but it's coming out mid-December. And when that comes in, I'm literally going to crack it open straight away because I have the urge and the want to read it. Even though I have it, literally in the boxes behind me. I could pick it up tonight and read it. I want to read the Omnibus. So that'll be next week, and that'll be one of my reads for this month. But it's just, I know what you're saying. If you don't have that sudden urge, do you really want it? But like most people, we probably have little angel on one shoulder, little devil on the other, saying, buy it, don't buy it. It's the conflict we all have, I suppose, when it comes to spending money on books, which, aren't really
I
that
do.
important.
I do agree with Chris though, because there's books that I've sat and stared at on because I use Amazon as I've set up wish lists on Amazon just to
Mhm.
sort of keep a track of things coming out, and just sort of it's easy to do. And there's ones there I've got in my books. I flick through and I'm like, that's been on there for like 6 months. I'm not going to buy that. Let's just delete it off.
Plus,
You know,
not unless the price comes down. If it's the same
Mhm.
price it was 6 months prior, I definitely wouldn't buy it.
it depends on what it is.
Mm.
For this, I went through stages of certain types of books as well. So like older DC stuff, because at one point I weren't going to touch Marvel or independent, so I went full DC. And yeah, as you can see by just behind, that went completely wrong, because
Yeah.
that's all Marvel and independent behind me. So if anything, I'm going to
The only thing visible that's brilliant is the Sin City, like that I'm a massive book in the background.
Yeah, but I'm that bad, because if you look up the other corner, I've got every single one of the
I
deluxe
can
Sin
see,
City
yeah, on the
books as
top.
well. It's like, what do I do
Well,
to myself?
That's we're all guilty of it. I think there's a comment up above from Connie saying something about her starting off buying trade paperbacks. Now she wants to do deluxe hardcovers for different series, but that's how it starts. You buy one, and you buy another, and next thing you've got 3 Calaxes, and still have no room to put in your new books. That's how they get us.
I got some life advice for Connie there.
No.
If you were definitely going to read that trade paperback multiple times, like more than 3 in your lifetime, then yeah, upgrade. But if you know for a fact that you're maybe even going to read it once more, it's pointless. It really is pointless, because a trade paperback is more than adequate for 1 or 2 reads. The problem is when you get those series that you adore, that you're like, oh, I'm going to keep reading that every year or every couple of years. I can't wait to revisit it. They are the ones that you should upgrade. The ones that, if you look at your shelf and it's full of trade papers, and you go, oh, I should get the deluxe of that or the omnibus. It's like, should you? Really? It's pointless. It really is an absolute waste of money if you're not going to revisit it time and time and time again, because trade paperbacks are absolutely adequate for a couple of reads. But after that, obviously.
I totally agree, and like I say, it's too late for us. We're too far gone. So as someone who was born in like 1999 or whatever it was, save yourself. Don't do it.
Corey says you should go and sell them all now.
See, my biggest mistake that I feel I made was FOMO got the best of me when first collecting.
Yeah.
I had it drummed into me from, I was getting sucked into YouTube videos and saying, "Oh, they're not, they go quick." If you're
Them
not
influencers, these guys like Chris, that's their fault.
All I do is influence.
But then I've gone and bought some of these omnibuses, and I'm like, well, am I ever going to read it? See, I've got the Thunderbolts Volume 1 and 2. I'm like, am I ever going to read those? I've bought them out of FOMO. So I think next year, and I'm starting to get more into independent now, I'm going to try and decrease my Marvel collection, sell on a few books I've not opened that I'm just never going to read. I put that money back into some more like Image stuff and Boom, and because stuff that I actually really want to read. So I'm just using the collection to fund the collection, that type of thing.
That's exactly. Well, actually, one of my choices will be that perfect funding collection. I'll do mine on that. But I had exactly the same thing. Is like I watched a YouTuber, and I realized that my tastes were totally different to his. And I would like buy a book because it looked good and looked interesting, and then I get it and be like, I really dislike this, and sell it all. And then I do the same again from the same channel, and I was like, I'm gonna start reading everything, like online previews and stuff like that. And that's, like I've said, for months and months and months, if not years now, since I've started the whole YouTube thing. That's the biggest thing for me, is like going online, downloading a preview, even going to the shitty sites, the copy, the stuff for the pirate sites, wherever you can get a preview. It's worth it, because it just helps you kind of get it clear in your head, and then go, right, okay, I do want to find out more about this story. but I don't think I bought anything blind in ages. Absolutely a long time now.
I think I've gone down the same road. I bought a tablet a few months back with the intention of thinking, right, let's just get hold of copies of these books that I've bought. Let's not crack the seal on them. Let me read a few issues first. Is this something that I'm going to want to read? Because then I'll put the tablet down and crack open the omnibus that I've got. But if I get a few issues in and I'm not interested, let's just sell it on. And if it's sealed, I get at least try and get close to my money back. So again, it just goes to another book that I am going to read and I do want in the collection. So
the maddest thing is as well is when you read those things that are absolute classics, and you read them and you really don't like them. You're like, how am I reading this wrong? Everybody loves this, and I'm not getting it. So you start again. You're like, nah, I'm not getting this. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And it's like, well, sometimes you're just not gonna like it. Like it is what it is.
See, my pickup, the biggest pickup, it shows my weakness for that. Just that exact same thing. I'll explain that. I'll explain my reason why whenever we get there. But there was a bit of FOMO involved in it too. But it does that happens. Happens to the best of us, which is. But I think I'm doing not quite as similar. I don't read stuff beforehand. I know that I'm going to collect pretty much everything Spider-Man going forward. Every Spider-Man book that comes out, like even like what's the name? Ghost Spider. Is it Ghost Spider?
Yeah,
Spider's Gwen. Yeah,
Ghost
it's
Spider.
coming out. Like I just want that's what I like. I love the Spider-Man stuff. My kids love Spider-Man now. They watch that Spidey and the Amazing Friends, and like I love my kids to grow up and watch and read the same books that I read and stuff. Like maybe not the Silver Age stuff, I get it, but the more modern day stuff certainly. And I think that's where I'm focusing my stuff on. Don't get me wrong, I buy other stuff too, but in terms of like the dedication, kind of like that's what I'm focusing on. And then
I can see why you would do that, but it's weird as well with something like Spider-Man, I think, because I do it like with Usagi or with Hellboy or stuff like that. You know, I'll buy the monthly issues or I'll buy the trade paperbacks or stuff like that without probably previewing it much with Usagi and Hellboy, to be honest. But ultimately, it's the creative team, because Hellboy is a perfect example. It's like there's so much stuff out there that are written by other people or drawn by other people that I don't buy into at all. It's a kind of close-knit group of creators that I'm like, yeah, that's a blind buy, definitely, straight away. And the same with Usagi is if it's Stan Sky. But then if someone comes along and is drawing Usagi, I couldn't give a crap. But then with Spider-Man, you've got this whole range of artists and creators drawing it, but you're invested in the character. And I'm kind of like, it has to be the two character and creative team. Then I may blind buy, but if it's...
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Like the currently on Spider-Man, like the single issues, the art, the writing's kind of shared as well, but the art is shared with Patrick Gleason and John Romita Jr. I really detest John Romita Jr.'s art. I think it's horrible. And
there are some, like Man Without Fear, for example, and things like that. Great.
Yeah, like I've read some of the stuff and that's fine, but there's just sometimes you just see the kind of like the distortion on the faces and the arms, and the bodies look really elongated at times, or like they don't look right. Like it's comics, it's an artistic kind of like flair people may have, but I just don't like it. Patrick Gleason is brilliant on Spider-Man. He was good on Superman a lot of years back too, but I still buy the single issues. It's just I can't let go. You know, I'll just put myself through that pain and torture of John Romita Jr.'s art just for Spidey. But don't get me wrong, if there was a creative team, it's like that you like, and they're on Spider-Man, it's all definite, but that's a real definite. You know, I'll get that first. I'll open that first. I'll read that first. But maybe it's wrong to go for, especially with Marvel and DC, because they chop and change all the time, don't they? With their main guys. But
oh god, yeah.
2 books out of 5. That's 48 minutes.
Yeah.
I'll do the last 2 quickly. I'll do the last 2 quickly.
Just do them together. So
so I picked up the last Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Nice.
So I'm just hoping Boom eventually reprint the first couple, because I've missed out on those. But I'm buying these out of faith. So come on, Boom, pull your finger out. And the last one I picked up was the latest World of Black Hammer, Volume 4.
Oh,
So
yeah,
quite pleased got that.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one. I got to grab that one at some point as well.
I have the first library edition. I know there's other books with that, but I have the first library edition. I only bought it because it was like £20 on eBay, brand new, sealed. And I know Adam's a big fan of Black Hammer, so when I see people like something, I'll kind of jump on it. So talk about blind buys. That was one of the blind buys. However, again, as we mentioned earlier on, that was maybe 2.5 years ago, and it's still untouched on the shelf.
I will say to you though, the volume 1 that you've got or the library edition is absolutely pointless, because as soon as you finish it, you're gonna want volume 2 of the library edition, because that first 1 and 2 volume collection of stories is just a massive story. You know, it is, and as soon as you finish it, you're just gonna pick up the volume 2 straight away.
I assume like there's 3 hardcovers after those 2 library editions. There's 5 in total, isn't there?
No. If you think about those 2 library editions, you have in volume 1 as just their own thing.
Okay.
Then the others are all the kind of random offshoots that go right the way through the different timelines that's created. You don't need to read any of them. You really only need to read those 2 to get the story of the main kind of cast of characters the Black Hammer introduced way back when. But then all the other ones kind of delve into this wider universe.
It's called the World of Black Hammer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just pleased we're finally getting Visions, because that's been announced as the next library edition. Because they released Volume 1 and 2 in standard hardcover ages ago, and then it all went quiet. And then I think about 2 weeks ago, I was just looking on that Amazon and I saw the cover for Volume 5 and it's Visions.
I know, it's weird why they did that, because they didn't do that with any of the previous ones, as far as I remember. Like this, because everyone's like, "What? Are they just abandoning the library format now? And they're just gonna go with standard?" But yeah, it was a weird choice.
Nice. That's some good pickups, Martin. Fantastic. And the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger stuff. I'm the same as you, only I haven't bought any yet, but I want to buy them in the hope that Boom re-release or reprint the year 1 and year 2, and what's the third one? It's out of print. There's one out of print as well. The third one's out of print, isn't it?
The first, second, and third are out of print.
Yeah, like Beyond the Grid or something.
I felt sorry. Beyond the Grid still it's
Shattered.
It's year 1, year 2.
Yeah.
How many is there in total? 5 in total?
I'm not sure. I asked Scott to send me a picture last week, and he did send me, but I forgot.
It's not. It's 3 of them. It is 3 of them. You've got year 1, year 2, and then there's another one with like a gold ranger on the front. I can't remember what one that's called now.
I thought there was wasn't there a red, a green?
Yep.
Gold and a pink.
Yeah, gold and pink. But the pink.
Yeah.
And then there was the White Ranger, and then there's this new one.
But the White Ranger was a unique name when I like Shattered Glass. So we're out of depth, yeah.
Yeah.
we need the other Welsh guy for this.
Yeah, he knows it all.
Oh, see, he sent me the picture last week, and he sent me a picture of the ones that he has, but then I don't know what the other ones are that he doesn't have.
No, because Scott's in the same problem I'm in.
Yeah.
Scott spoke about it before. He's praying for the reprints too. But to be honest, I'll be very supportive if Boom released the first few, and maybe done it so some charity went to mental health for what happened with Jason David Frank recently.
This is the thing too, and it's like a humanity issue where people want to cash in sad stories. Like, for example, in eBay, there's like Power Ranger Funko Pops, there's Power Ranger books and figures that are going for more money now because obviously he's died. And
is that true? Yeah, I didn't realize.
For example, I have the White Ranger Funko Pop on eBay, and I've had it on eBay for months and months and months. No one's buying it, and then I was getting sent loads of offers, so I took it off, thinking, well, what's going on? Obviously, that's what it is. So I don't want to cash in on like something that's quite sad. But what the point I'm trying to get at is like, could boom capitalize sounds a horrible word, but you know what I'm trying to say, like utilize that and release that because the interest is there. But if they were to do that, they should definitely do what you're saying, like give some money to mental health charity or something for that reason. I think if they just released it, the interest is there, and then they made all the money, it wouldn't really sit right. I don't think of a lot of people.
No.
But saying that, if they re-released the books before this happened anyway, they would still sell and make money. You know, I think.
The first volume is the Green Ranger volume as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be like if it keeps going like you were saying, Phil, then that would be a mental seller, wouldn't it? Really?
Yeah. And
with already the people that want it already anyway, like.
Yeah. But yeah, fantastic stuff. Chris, you up for your?
Okay, let me go get some books then. How many people are watching? I can't see. Is it like thousands?
29. It's just the 29.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll get 29 books for the 29 peeps. Be right back.
No, I think the part. Oh, he's had 56 minutes to get these books, and he's only getting them now. This is live TV, folks. No.
That's how we roll. We wing it.
But definitely when it comes to like the Power Ranger stuff, I really should be picking these up, like you're doing, and hope that they re-release them. In case, like, what would be the worst thing for me to happen is I wait, and then they reprint the first 3 books. I buy them, but by that stage, the rest of the books are out of print. So I'm just in the same boat, waiting for reprinted books. That's mad.
Well, I feel like that same problem because I think they're going to release the box sets to the general public.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get a normal release. So I'm waiting for that, and I'm going to buy that. I know I will.
I'm just laughing at Chris's books. His stack.
What are you going to buy?
Talking about Power Rangers again, still like the box set.
Right. Fucking grow up.
Comic books. Here, Peter is he's disgusted, Chris. No preparation.
It was a last minute thing.
And to be fair, it literally was last minute. I asked him today. He agreed.
Phil, he's always on my back. Right. I'll start off with the thing that embarrasses me most. Right.
Nice. What we'll do, we'll try and get through this without stopping in between each book and having a tangent. We'll just try and get through it. Is that okay?
Right.
Or do you feel like it's unfair because we spoke about all Martin's books? We should speak about the books too.
Oh well, Martin had like 28 minutes per book, and you say
okay. Right. Okay.
Shall I just go now?
Yes. Take all the time you need, Chris.
Yeah.
Shall I just show you the books and leave? Is that what you want?
Never.
Attack on Titan. Now, this is a ridiculous situation to be in, I'll be honest.
Right.
I read Attack on Titan earlier this year, I think, and I bought the colossal editions, the oversized editions, which captured about 5 or 6 volumes in one. And I sold them on because, one, the quality of the cover and the size of the book was a little uncomfortable to read, and it wasn't the greatest. And the print in certain pages was just off. There was like print lines down them and stuff like that. It just wasn't great quality. In 2 or 3 separate volumes, there were like print lines down loads of different pages. So it really done my head in. So I thought, right, I'll sell off those colossal editions and I'll buy the box sets. And I bought all 6 box sets, this being the 7th box set, collecting the last volumes. And so the idea was right, I'll get all the box sets and then I'll do a big reread and finish off reading the last few volumes because I've never read 31, 32, 33, 34, the last 4. So I was like, wait, get the final box set, got it, and I started reading all of these. Started reading the individual tankobons. And yeah, I can't really flick through any of these because it's spoilers. So there's the book. But I got them and I started reading them and I got to like more box set like 3 or 4 I think. And it was doing my head in. It's doing my head in reading them because there was loads of gutter loss with the speech bubbles in the center, which was annoying. But then it had that one thing that I can't stand because of the stock of the paper, this kind of pulpy stock the manga gets now and again. You were just getting black grayness on your fingers when you're reading it, like.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? You get a little
Yeah.
print kind of come off, and it looks, like almost like when you rub a pencil on a page and you get that grayness on your fingers. I was getting that, and I was just like, this is annoying as hell, man. And then I thought, I wonder if I could sell these and buy the colossal editions back.
No.
So, to cut the long story short, these are all being sold. And I rebought the colossal editions. Yay!
See, Connie, this is what happens. This is what happens when you try to upgrade from your trade paperbacks to hardcovers back to trade paperbacks. It works.
In fairness to me, the colossal editions, right, they've got glossy paper, so you don't get that issue.
Mm.
But I realized when I was going through the box set, I realized a really important thing is the best version of Attack on Titan that I can buy are these. And so, even though I didn't like them, and I still don't think they're the most perfect edition, they're still the best way to read the books. And I honestly know Attack on Titan is one of the most enjoyable, fast-paced, interesting stories that I've read. And that's across all different books, across everything I've read. It's just great. And I just wanted a version of it that I could read and be happy with, but it's not going to happen. This is not going to happen until they bring out like a proper version. And I'm not even saying like a hardback version, but a version that's a bit sturdier, even if it's the same size of this, but just with less volumes in it because it's so heavy.
Like that Akira one that came out, was it earlier this year?
Yeah,
wasn't it?
that would be perfect. Because the Akira one's a perfect example, because the Akira one actually uses quite old stock paper like this. But then it's a little bit higher, so the print doesn't come off when you read it, because these are cheap as, you know what I mean? Like in Japan and in Britain and wherever, these are just ridiculously cheap. You can pick these up for like $5. I mean, they're cheaper than a comic book. So obviously the print quality is going to be fairly low. And yeah. So they're all on eBay now. So if any of you guys out there want a bargain, hey, go on eBay.
I mean, if you don't mind, ink residue on your fingertips.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Shouldn't have said that.
They're excellent.
The ultimate format of Attack on Titan.
The ultimate format. In fact, I'm quite gutted that I'm selling them off, to be honest.
Have you read Attack on Titan, Martin? Have you ever read that?
No, I tend to, with manga, I haven't really stepped out of my comfort zone. I like sort of cyberpunk type stuff. So I like Akira. I like sort of Ghost in the Shell. And I think the only thing I have stepped out of my boundary with is Hellsing, because I love Hellsing. Such a good series on animated and the books. And what's the other one I picked up? I've got a box set of it. Oh my god, like a demon. You've got it, Chris. That's it.
Demon Slayer.
Demon Slayer.
Demon Slayer is excellent. If you like Hellsing, you're probably going to like Demon Slayer. It's overall aimed at a slightly younger audience, but it's still got all that qualities that the Hellsing has got. Hellsing's a little bit of a weird one though, because it is so different from other manga in terms of art and story, and it's a good manga. But yeah, Attack on Titan is great. I think it's so good. Honestly, I'm not surprised that I bought it multiple times already, because I'm striving to get a copy that I'm happy with. But
I bought my first manga recently, 2 months or so ago, The Fist of the North Star, the first two hard books, and I haven't read them yet, which I know is shocking, but it definitely appeals to me. But do you know what I like about it? And it's the same thing. I think I said before, Chris. Like, I remember Finland Saga was coming out, like the translations of it, and they only had like the first 5 or 6 books. I thought I can get that. That's a good time to jump in, because they're not that far ahead of themselves yet. I think they're gonna have like volume 14 on that within like a year. Like, okay, that's out the window. I don't want to do 14 volumes of that. And Fist of the North Star, I think book 7 is due. So it's starting to climb ahead ahead of me again, so I need to get. I need to go
I
on
think
that.
they've solicited volume 82, so
Is that right? Okay.
so you got a while to keep
But
going
that's.
there.
I mean, I get manga there. It's smaller. There's less panels in terms of you can go through the pages quicker. I get that it's probably the same kind of volume of content you're reading, possibly. It's
Definitely,
just
like I've told you loads, is that it would take you less time to read the Akira box set than it does a Marvel Omnibus. It would, because it's very artistic format. It's all about like the art, and that's not to say that it strips away the words totally,
Yeah.
but it really does like spend a lot of time on just laying the art down and having that tell the story.
I can remember the movie Battle. Oh man, what's it called? Alita Battle Angel, is it? Or
Yeah,
and the movie was fantastic. I loved the movie, so I thought that's a book I could get on board. And they released a box set or a collection of hardcovers, I think last year.
yeah, the deluxe hardcovers. That must
Yeah.
be something you've got, Mark, if you like.
Yeah, I've got them. I bought them separately because the box set was out of print, so I went and picked up all the single deluxe hardcovers. So I love that was the movie that got me onto manga. Funny enough.
Yeah, well, that's something on my radar. So maybe whenever Spider-Man books have a bit of a
brutal.
break.
The opening couple of chapters of Battle Angel Alita are absolutely brutal, man. They really are, like the fighting and stuff like that. It's mental. But I definitely, it's more like kind of comic booky violence. You know, even though it's disgusting, it doesn't feel that off-putting because it's got that, you know, the fast lines going on, blood spurting. You know, it feels a bit more over the top.
There's also a lot of hype at the minute. What's kind of at least piques me interest in terms of looking into it more is Chainsaw Man. I think there's a new anime came out recently, and the books, for example, like the what do you call them? The tankobans? What are they called?
Tankobon, yeah. So basically that what I had just now. That's the tankobon. So essentially, you think of that as, you know, you picked up the monthly comics.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically more or less what it is. It's that's what you pick up. Like.
But the thing is, from what I gather, some of the early volumes of the Chainsaw Man series are really hard to get. I think you can get volume 1. I think like 2, 3, 4, and 5. I don't know if they're out of print or what happens. They didn't have the like loads, like 6, 7, 8, whatever. They have loads of them above that, but like those few in the middle, they just can't seem to get.
Yeah, they reprinted them now, and even in America, Barnes and Noble are doing a box set of them, which is going to come out soon.
Nice,
but it's a Barnes and Noble exclusive, like, but they will print that to death.
Well, Barnes and Noble or Waterstones, they're the same company, aren't they?
I'm not sure. I never looked into them.
I think they are. I'm not 100% because I know, like in January and like the New Year sale, they have the same sales. Like it's like buy one hardcover get one free. That's why I'm assuming they're the same company, but maybe they're just not and have the same sale. But yeah,
I do think they was, but that's news to me.
Maybe they're not.
I'll trust Martin more than Phil.
So would I. Strange, I am
Phil. That now.
Yeah. But yeah, have you read Chainsaw Man yourself, Chris?
Yeah, I've gone through it quite a bit.
Nice.
I think did I do a video on Chainsaw Man? I can't remember if I did or not. I might have, but it's
not recently. I don't think.
No, I think I did. Yeah, I did. I'm sure I did because I can remember some uppity little bastard commenting on it being a knob. It wasn't you, Phil.
Wasn't me.
And but no, I read it, but my main problem with it was the character himself, Chainsaw Man, was ridiculously kind of one-dimensional and very uninteresting. Like when he became Chainsaw Man and started fighting, action was phenomenal. And then some of the other characters, like Power and Makima, I think, or Makama, or whatever her name is, and a few of the other kind of main characters or sub-characters were great. But then he just didn't have enough to carry the whole series. But it was kind of, there's volumes 1 to 11 came out, and it was kind of a long origin story, which was great in parts, but then other parts really didn't work. I think his strength is in his action set pieces massively. Like some of the action scenes in it were just so imaginative and so creative and so just you wanted to turn the page and just go, oh, what the heck, it just impressed you that it was so ridiculous and over the top. Like I think at one point, I think I mentioned this in the video, I think is that at one point he's riding a demon that turns into a shark, and the shark can fly, and he's riding him as Chainsaw Man into a demon that's a typhoon trying to chase a demon that can turn into a bomb. It's just like you're reading it and you're just like, this is amazing. But then when you get to those dialogue and the nuanced kind of parts of it, it was okay. It was okay. There was another series by the same guy. What's his name now? I've forgotten his bloody name. But the other series he done was called Fire Punch, and I found that far more interesting. But the ending was so abstract that it was kind of annoying. But Fire Punch, I thought, was a better series than Chainsaw Man.
Hot take.
We weren't supposed to interrupt me.
Yeah, sorry, Chris. You can play on. Okay.
Right.
I was giving you more time than you really wanted or needed or whatever.
I know. Accidental Tsar. And that's not as easy as you think to pronounce for a Welsh person, Tsar. But this is a Box Brown book, but not exclusively Box Brown, because it's written by Andrew Weiss, and Box Brown. And Box Brown, I love. He's a really simplistic, straightforward artist, but he tends to kind of do subjects from reality non-fiction books like Tetris, Andy Kaufman books, books on Andre the Giant and things like that. And this is a look at Putin. The subtitle is The Life and Times of Vladimir Putin. And so it's really, kind of zeitgeisty mindset, like of the now thought, and I saw this and I saw the artwork and saw the fact that they were trying to chart this story of Vladimir Putin through art and through story, and I just wanted to jump into it and see what it was like.
I love the overuse of the red. Obviously, it's going to be red, I suppose, isn't it? Really, for what it is.
What did you say?
The overuse of the color red on the pages. Obviously, it's going to be red. Obviously, just given what it is. But yeah, it's really cool.
But I will say that the color palette does change as you go through. Now, I'm not sure why the choices there of color palette changes, but it is there. But normally, a lot of Box Brown books.
I was going to say, is the next color going to be yellow? Given the political thing on it, so you got blue and then yellow. Yeah. There we go.
Yeah, and then what's next then?
Green.
Well, it's kind of a grey-green, but yeah. And then I bet you can't guess the next one.
Pink.
It's pink.
Yeah, we just seen it. You had it open a second ago.
What's the last one?
Black.
Purple knobheads.
No, you're quite fond of the historical non-fiction stuff, aren't you? Really? Because I know that all your videos, they're very different, I think, than a lot of other stuff. But I always watch them. I'm obviously I forget Chainsaw Man. I forgot, but I do watch your videos and the historical non-fiction stuff. I think it's really cool. But the art's like Box Brown. It is always quite simple but effective, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's kind of what I like. Is it strips away everything, every element. It's so kind of stylized in the way he creates characters and stuff like that. But ultimately, he kind of there's no room to hide, but equally he has to tell the story kind of straightforward and convincingly in that panel, because there's no room for being artist or hero pose or any of that stuff. Every panel is taking that story forward in the most stripped down, straightforward way. Mm-hmm. And I really do kind of like that, because I think I said not so long ago somewhere or another that really complex art and really over the top photo realistic art doesn't tend to impress me that much. But simplistic art that uses so minimal amount of lines but then gets across as much as the photorealistic stuff blows me away, how people are able to kind of do that with a couple of lines. But this was one of the things I kind of picked up straight away, because I read a few pages and I think the opening chapter online and stuff like that. And Box Brown has got to a point with me that he is kind of one of those authors that I am actively following and trying to buy books of, but the fact that it was about of Vladimir Putin, and I know a bit about Vladimir Putin, but I thought, oh, this would be a nice way to kind of see other dimensions to him as well, with artwork by a guy who I like. And so, yeah, I think it's only out in hardback at the moment, but it'll be a paperback soon, I'm sure.
Is Putin sitting on like a throne with like a rifle or something as well?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. With his army gear, his army camouflage.
There's so much like macho, over the top masculinity in this book that Putin, obviously, because he tries his best to create that really over the top masculine environment. Like, and this book is just full. Because in fairness to Putin, I mean, from where he started to where he is now, I'm intrigued to how the shit did that happen, because I don't know, I don't fully understand how that's happened, but yeah, that's that.
It's good.
What's
Sounds
next?
like an interesting read.
Well, yeah, the other two were non-fiction as well. These were just I have bought a ridiculous amount recently, and I'm too embarrassed to get it all out here. Plus, you know, if I monetize my videos, I'm losing all my revenue showing you guys, am I?
Yeah, but you don't monetize, not yet anyway. Sure you don't?
Not yet, but I'm. Someone questioned it the other day, and I'm like, why don't I? It's like, oh yeah, I don't do it because of this. And I'm like, I'm a weirdo.
Just because you posted on Instagram, was it last week? You hit 1,500 subscribers, and it was the second year birthday of the channel.
Yeah,
and you had the which says like monetization value or something 0. I remember thinking, why not? Like, you're leaving money on the table. It's YouTube keeping that money, you know.
Yeah, I know. That's what occurred to me. So I'll probably just tick that box and say monetization and get like 74p.
Yeah.
But it's my 74p.
Exactly. It belongs to you. You put the effort in. I would agree.
This is the one I'm reading at the moment, and it's another second book that I got at the same time, and it's a non-fiction biography on Albert Einstein.
Nice.
But it's by the team Jim Ottavani and I think it's James. Is it James Dye? I can't remember his name. Gerald Dye. Now, James Ottavani does tons of graphic novels about scientists and about mathematicians and other non-fiction, you know, real biography stories. And this is the latest one. And I hadn't read any of them because I know he's got one on. I think he's got one on Feynman, I think, and a few other people. But I hadn't read any of them, and I thought, oh, the Einstein one's coming out. I'll pick that up and see if I like them and just go through it. But I'm reading at the moment, and it is good. But I will say it is super, super hard to understand some of the logic going on and some of the theory of relativity. I love books like this as well because they make me realize how stupid I am. Because they try to explain the theory of relativity in comic book form, and I still don't understand it. I'm still like, no idea.
At least you try. That's good.
Honestly,
You saw the effort.
I definitely tried, but the artwork is nice. I tend to don't like the coloring too much, but the artwork in general is nice and pleasant. It's not like, you know,
like similar to that previous book where it's like, or like Box Brown, where it's like the same kind of style. It's quite simple with like less lines, but that previous book wasn't flooded with color. That seems to be too blocky. So I would agree with the color is a bit strange in that one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's one of those things like there's pages, you know, that I look at, and it looks with colorization, and it looks like Einstein is bloody black, and I'm like. And I'm checking Google. I'm thinking, was Einstein black? Because the colorization is like his skin is so dark. In one point, I'm like, am I missing something? I thought to myself, I've only ever seen black and white images. Have I forgotten something for Einstein? But turns out it's just coloring. But
Sorry, Pete's got some life advice for you, Chris, tonight. Get monetized and you'll buy a decent copy of Titan
as well. Do you see his earlier comment? Chris needs an intervention.
Yeah.
Him telling me that, Mister.
Yeah, I know it's bad.
I don't know what I bought.
Oh, but 4 of these.
But colorization aside, the artwork I really like, and the story is really good. The only thing I struggle with is understanding some of the physics, but I'm I'm not.
But you're not Einstein.
Exactly. So it's
Yeah.
going to happen. But at the same time, I picked up this. I was on eBay and I was looking for other things that Jim Ottavani done, and this that I've seen the film version of, but with Benedict Cumberbatch about Alan Turing. And the Imitation Game is basically about Alan Turing, the guy who invented kind of the modern day computer, really, who worked at Bletchley Park during World War II and decoded the Enigma code, saving millions and millions of lives, and how he was, homosexual, and how they chemically castrated him and all that shit. Tell him.
It's a great movie, by the way. It's actually
It is a fantastic movie. Well, this graphic novel basically inspired that directly off it, really. But yeah, it's really good. The artwork is different again because Jim Ottavani literally I think I might be wrong. I think that every book that he tackles, like a scientist or a person, of fame in some way, he uses a different artist every time. And I was on eBay, and this was £2.50.
To be fair,
£2.50, and I thought, it's going to be a terrible copy, but absolutely immaculate. So I was like, great.
Was that from a private seller or one of those?
No, it was from World of Books.
World of Books, okay. Because I'm with Pete there. Like, great movie. He would like to read that. I think I might try and pick it up, but only think it's for £2.50. Anything more than that, I just.
It is. This is by the British publisher as well, Self-Made Heroes, I think. Oh no, there is two versions. This is by Abraham's Comic Art, but I think Self-Made Hero brought out a version as well. But the dimensions are different to the other book as well.
It's so weird because Abrams are the guys who brought out that Simpsons horror book, isn't it? So they have like the Simpsons and they have that. It's just like two contrasting things. But yeah,
what's even weirder is it was only last month or a couple of months ago that I bought my first ever Abrams Comic Arts book, and I was like, I've never heard of one before, and then I end up buying another one without realizing. But this, if you like kind of German World War story and the spy story mixed in with a very real life story of a human being who is struggling to kind of understand who they are, have mental health issues, and is discovering what a computer is basically and putting it in place. And this story is great. And the artwork is very different from that other one, but very good. But if you like loads of panels of him drawn on chalkboards, talking to himself, then this is definitely the book for you.
I'm just searching eBay. £11, £13, £14.
I know. I think I had a good one.
No, I'll wait. That's the one I'll
get
wait
under
on.
10. Get under 10.
Yeah. Yeah, looks really good. I'll be into that. Do you have more? Or is that you, Chris? That's your last?
I definitely got more, but I'm going to leave you kind of come in now.
Well, thankfully, I don't have that much because this time of year, I almost feel guilty buying myself too much stuff because, like, I always remember, years ago, I used to buy Call of Duty in November. It was always November. I had to keep up at midnight and buying Call of Duty. My dad shouted at me. It's like, what are you buying that for? It's like, I want to play the game. Yeah, but Christmas is around the corner. You're selfish. We could have bought you that for Christmas. It's like I'm getting shouted at for saving them money to buy me a present. So I've always kind of had this thing in my mind. I try not to buy too much.
I'm going to give you a virtual hug, Phil. I'm going to give you a virtual
I
think you need it. I think you need it.
I don't have daddy issues. I'm just saying he would tell me off for spending money on myself. That's
honestly, we've all had abuse as kids and as adults from our parents. Yeah. And it's not on.
Oh, nice. But so in November, and if Pete's still in the chat, he will say just how good this was. We went to Thought Bubble convention in Harrogate, near Leeds, and it's a festival or convention where they very much celebrate the artists and the creators, as opposed to the film stars or the characters. You're not going to see people dressed up like Doc Brown with a DeLorean or whatever. It's all comic book creators and a lot of indie stuff, and it's a chance to go to catch some indie stuff that you wouldn't see in shops normally, whatever. So the first thing I picked up, and it was actually Scott picked it up first. I thought it sounded really good. Haven't read this yet, by the way. I should really say this because I'm really behind on all my reading. But he picked up the first 4 volumes, and I did after, of Kiltopia. This is Dave Cook and Craig Patton, who I don't really know who they are, but
Is it a Disney book? It sounds like a Disney book.
no, this is a sci. It's up your street.
Me,
Mark,
Cyberpunk, isn't it?
yeah, cyberpunk or something. A neon-drenched mega city in future Japan has been overrun by killer mecha, and humanity is being torn apart by a vicious nano plague. Life officially sucks. Yes, so it's like following this guy called Shinzi and Crash, and this apparently is going to be. It's a TV series, but it might be an animated series, I believe, and they're using like the Unreal Engine, like the guys who make like computer games and stuff. So it's going to be that, but sounds right up my street, and some of the art, which I think is, I don't want to spoil anything for myself even. So I think some of the art's really really cool, really class. It's not quite as simple as the stuff you're referring to, but it isn't over the top either. It's quite nice and. I can't show that page. Some of it is a bit graphic, but I'm really looking forward to getting to it.
I want to see you now. I want to see you now. I want to see
that page. I think he like lifted someone's head off. Let's see if I can find it.
Oh, that's fine. As long as there's no genitals, you could show it on YouTube. Fine.
Yeah, okay. I'll show this page. So you'll see in the background someone's getting their limbs torn apart. Somewhere you can see the limbs hitting the window behind him. So yeah, but yeah,
the color looks lovely on that.
Yeah, so it's Kiltopia Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, and yeah, Volume 4. I think that's it. I think that's the complete story. But
there's one more.
Is there one more? So you've heard of this yourself?
I saw Scott post this on his Instagram, and as soon as I saw Cyberpunk, I was looking into it. Apparently, I think he's got the 5th volume on Kickstarter.
Oh, nice. I might have to grab that too, just to have the complete. Yeah. And these volumes are not like a trade paperback. They're maybe like they're quite thin, maybe like two.
Yeah, they look more like the what do you call them now? The the ones that what was that DC offshoot line called now? I can't bloody remember.
Black Label.
Yeah, Black Label, like the Black Label books where they're kind of about 60 pages or 50, 60 pages.
Yeah, they're maybe like a deluxe issue or whatever it's called, oversized issue. But yeah, maybe 60 pages or so, but they're normal kind of size, but they're just slightly thicker. So, and Connie's giving me stick here because if you watch the Nerd Herd, you'll know that when it comes to gore, I have a lower tolerance than some people, and here's Connie just calling me out for as a hypocrite that I am. Phil, I don't like gore, but strikes again. Yeah, and Pete's ordered this as well. It's actually
Pete needs an intervention.
Yeah, I think he does. Yeah. Not just for comics, for like hot toys, for statues and all that kind of stuff. Like definitely. But my plan this weekend is
I know actually to interrupt, he did my head in the other day saying 6 inches is not good. I will argue with that. It's definitely all
right. Anyway, we have to keep this clean in this channel, Chris.
Sorry, Phil. Sorry.
Just joking.
I didn't see that. How big were the books?
6 inches.
Yeah.
I always had a single issue. Well, I had it in a bag and board. They fit in a bag and board, but they're not quite as tall as like the bag, if you know what I mean. Like a normal size comic book would fit in this, so it's smaller, but it's thickness wise, like say, 60 pages. So it's quite thin. It's not, and it's not like Marvel thin paper. It's glossy paper too. Yeah, it's quite glossy. There's no. Look at that page. That is, it's just wacky,
See, that's the thing with Cyberpunk, because with Cyberpunk you can get very busy. It can look very busy because of a lot going on. But if it's done right, it looks amazing.
I'll have a proper look. I'm busy. I'm hosting the best show on YouTube after Omnibus Live, after Near Mint Condition, after Mad Dog Chats. But that's that's another story. But with that, So they're called BHP Comics, which I don't know what the BHP stands for. Don't know. I should have asked. I should have really taken more consideration into what they're actually there for. But they had like an offer for like 6 books for the price, or 5 books for 20. But then this girl gave me another one. She must have just liked the cut of my jib. Thought this is a handsome chap. I'll give him a free book. So I have no idea what this is. This is the free one called Laptop Guy.
But did she look at you and think he would gel with that type of character, though, rather than...
No, well, say she gave me this, so I should say she offered me any free book, and I just lifted this one because like I was under pressure. Like there was tons of other books, and I was like, I'll take this one. That's fine, thanks. So for no reason whatsoever, or the fact that I just seen this cover. When hapless fast food worker Shah blows his life savings on creating a comic called Laptop Guy. There we go. It's a critically acclaimed full-color sitcomic. I've never heard that term before. A sitcomic. Yeah. I'll read it, but I don't imagine it would take me too long to go through this, to be honest. Jack Lothian and Shah Nazir. So yeah, I'll give it a go, but it was free, so I can't complain too much.
It looks like it could be a good palate cleanser between thick books. You know,
it's not going to be something you would take too seriously, to be honest. The other one was a book called Boat, and there is only one volume out of this so far. And I know Liam from the Funky Gibbons picked this up as well. It's a horror. I think it's like I think all like the ocean, like sea levels have risen. There's no skyscrapers left. Whatever. It's like a post-apocalyptic style water world adventure, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, this is written by David Lumsden and Mark Williams, and I have it signed by somebody. because
look at him flexing now, Matt. Get you signed editions out. I'm gonna get mine.
Well, I mean, you say get showing off, but I don't know who it's signed by because I didn't ask him his name.
It's signed by some drunk person outside.
It looks like a D and an L, so I'm guessing it's David Lumsden himself. But yeah, and the art is like kind of like, well, it's not black and white, it's grayscale. A kind of effect.
Yes, I like that artwork. It's cool.
Because I know Kevin, like his, I can never pronounce his book. The last Einharja book, I think that's how it's pronounced, isn't it? I've got one of those mixed up.
Yeah.
But he's one grayscale now. He changed from the color to grayscale, and I quite like it too. But yeah, that's something that I'll read before I decide if I want to get the rest of it. But yeah, that was all from the BH Comics stall at Thought Bubble, and I didn't go over just because it was a good-looking girl on the stall itself. I went over for the books, which was good.
You know that, shallow. I know that.
I know.
I know for a definite. You would never just be attracted to a stall just because there's a very attractive young woman on it giving free comics. Never.
Never. But only I got a free comic, so obviously there was some sort of
I don't think tension. That's particularly true. But
well, it's true that I got the free comic, whether I was the only one. Yes, this is true. Connie says she thinks there's 3 volumes of The Boat because she thinks she bought it too, but does not know.
Was it a good-looking guy on the stall as well? Then is that what's happening here?
And she hasn't made a dent in her Thought Bubble stuff yet. And to be fair, neither had I until like literally yesterday. I get them all out and organized, and I reorganized all my comics. So yeah, another one I picked up, not at Thought Bubble, but because of Thought Bubble. So Zoe Thorogood, who's a cartoonist by, I think that's her profession, not an artist. She's an artist, but she calls herself a cartoonist. Had this book called "It's Lonely at the Center of the Earth." And I'm glad it has these like hyphens to, for compound words, like an autobiographic novel. So I couldn't say that without do you know what I mean? I was struck with that. But it's lonely at the center of the earth. So he Thorogood. And she was selling this at Thought Bubble. Now I'm not getting into this, but I didn't make the first day because of the Friday night before. I couldn't soldier through the first day of Thought Bubble, so I missed it. On the second day, this sold out in 6 minutes. All her copies sold out in 6 minutes, and I was gutted I missed it because I was going for this. This is one of the things I wanted to pick up. So as soon as it sold out, I went on Amazon just in case it was all gone and got it delivered to my house the next day. But so I didn't want to miss it. So this is actually my read.
I
tonight or
think I
tomorrow.
saw that on Andy's channel in Perpetual Comics.
Yeah.
That's where I saw that.
That's what I'm saying. Both of us missed. We were there together, and we missed this book at her stall, and we were outside the convention center on Amazon together, buying the book at the same time because she had said to us that if you want it, you might get it quick because it's all going to be gone soon. It's gone at distribution level, so if you can get it, pick it up now. This is like her. It's like she records 6 months, 6 months of her own life as it falls apart in a desperate attempt to put back together. So I think it's during like lockdown and stuff like this. I haven't read it, but she goes into like things like depression and anxiety and kind of being in isolation, I suppose. But I think this book has come from her kind of creative release type of thing, how she kind of got through that time. And that's what this is. It doesn't sound like it's a lot of fun in terms of like it's not Spider-Man, anything interesting like that. But this is really intriguing, and had a look in Goodreads, and literally like there's like 5 stars across the board with this book. I think she managed to land everything pretty well. So that's something that I'm diving into, to be honest. And art style, again, it's not something I would normally go for. It's quite similar to the stuff you were showing us, Chris. I'll try to find something better there.
It's not as good as the stuff I was showing.
Oh, so if you're watching, get a little bit of color, and
no, that is nice.
It's that kind of simple kind of stuff, and but really effective. And okay, usually I don't like this in books where there's like texts, like a text message kind of thing. So that'll be interesting to get through. But generally, like everyone on Goodreads, people on Instagram, they rate this book quite highly. So there's a lot of hype about the book itself, but not because it sells for more money or anything like that. More because of the story and how she lands it. So yeah, that's going to be my read this weekend. See how it goes.
Happy weekend then.
Hopefully. But if not, like I say, I've got a laptop guy to help me afterwards. I did a public cleanser, So that's one of the pickups. And the last one, which is the one I was referring to earlier on about the kind of FOMO or peer pressure kind of thing. So basically, we've read Once and Future volumes 1 and 2 in the Nerd Herd, and I think they're okay. I think they're okay.
Oh, he's going to be on the cover next time they really Phil Nerd Comic Book Club. They're okay.
Yeah. No, but my issue with the Once and Future is I think because it came with a lot of hype. So before I read it, I was into it. I was like, oh, this must be really, really good. I'm going to read this and love it, blah, blah, blah. And Scott, like the first time Scott's first videos on YouTube were Once in the Future, And I was like, right, I'm going to love this. And Stan Mora on art, I'm going to love this. And I didn't love it, to be fair. And I was no intention of buying this slipcase hardcover edition. I had no intentions whatsoever to buy this until I was out at Thought Bubble and Kieran Gillen was there. And I had books to be signed by Kieran Gillen. And I wasn't going to buy this again, but they had a traveling man, with a shop traveling man, had a stall. I had this for £40. That's like, the prices were coming down on this and Something's Killing the Children. Anyway, the slipcover edition said it's coming down in price. It's not that good of a deal, but still a good deal. £40 slipcase edition, whatever, right? Okay, and I'm there in the moment. Kieran Gillen's like literally like the stall next to the traveling man, and I'm looking at him, and I'm looking at this book, I'm looking at him again, thinking I'll just buy this and take it over and get it signed, and I did. So I now own this, which a book I had never any intention to own, but I caved in.
So Martin, are you keeping count of how many name drop signed editions Phil is trying to get into the program?
No, I've lost count.
I've lost count as well. Yeah, carry on, Phil. Sorry,
I haven't even mentioned Snyder or Ramfee. Rock, for example, he's a good guy. There's countless others. Christian Ward.
Did you meet Dave Gibbon?
No. Have you met Dave
That's
Gibbon?
The day you missed. I bet you slept through.
Yeah. The funny thing is, I'll tell the story, I suppose, on the first day, which is the Saturday, and I've been out the Friday night, and it was Pete's fault, totally Pete's fault. So when we met up, Pete and Scott and Liam and Andy and all the rest of the guys all met up, and we were just having a nice time in the pub, having a nice little drink. And Pete just saunters down with a tray of shots. It's like, okay, see if you bring shots, I tend to hate you a little bit. He's, oh, for goodness sake, why have you bought me shots? Then we're doing shots, it's grand. And I've drank more than this on the night out, but I've never felt that bad on that Saturday. I never felt as bad as I did. It was terrible. My stomach was away, my head was away. I got to the convention and there was no signal right at the front door. And then I just got overwhelmed with anxiety to the point where I was literally my phone was shaking, trying to find the email for my ticket to get in the door. I had to walk away and compose myself to get in. It was a terrible day. I got in and I met up with Scott and Liam, and they were sitting at a little coffee table. And I had to sit down and compose myself because I couldn't walk over to Scott Snyder and shake his hand, sign the books, and then like throw up over him. You know?
Yeah, that would be bad.
Yeah,
Just
I think
to clarify, that would be bad.
So basically, I went back to the hotel after that and just slept for a few hours.
I'm in nightmares about spewing over Scott Snyder.
Yeah. That was my fear. My fear was to meet these people and be sick over them. So I thought I roll out the Saturday. I'll go to bed. I'll recover. Go for dinner later at night and just recover and be ready to go for the Sunday. And yeah, Scott Snyder was there, and he was really badly hungover himself on the Sunday, to the point where like you can tell he didn't really want to talk to people as much. You know, he looked awful. His eyes looked off. He looked kind of drained and tired. He looked rough. They all did. They're all out drinking.
Someone spewed over him the day before.
Well, at least it wasn't me. And to be fair, if Connie's still in the chat, I need to thank Connie a lot, because on that Sunday, like I struggled to cope through the day at times, and I literally needed somebody to hold my bag and help me get my comics out of my bag and all this. I needed her. She had to be there as my helper that day. So I very much appreciate it, Connie. But yeah, anyway, one on a bit of tangent. Kieran Gillen was there. Bought this book to get signed, and he signed it. Once he signed it, he done this. So he wrote my name to Phil, and I'm assuming this, whatever this is his signature. It took me ages to work out what this was.
It's a sword in the stone, isn't it?
It took you 3 seconds. It took me ages. It wasn't until Charlie on the Killer Comics show mentioned it last week that, yeah, it's a sword in the stone.
That's a clear sign to stop drinking.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I've
clear sign to read the content of the book that he's getting signed as well.
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, I've read the first 2 paperback trades, so I will read this again, to be fair, because I think I need to give it more attention, because again, I was going in with that hype, not knowing what to expect. But I think a reread of this would happily benefit me.
I was quite smugly happy the other day when I saw the price of the slipcase edition for Something's Killing the Children.
20 something, wasn't it?
25, 26 pound, like going now. And
It's gone down. I think I got mine for about 27, 28. I think
even
I got mine
cheaper now. I mean, yeah, and that second print done it in, definitely.
Yeah, that's the thing. I got the first one. I can remember I pre-ordered with my store before it came out, and they actually pre-ordered 10. But remember, they messed that up. They didn't.
Yeah, they only delivered like 2 or 3 or something.
So we got 2 delivered, but luckily I was the first one to ask for it. So like I was like, well, you asked first, you get it. So I was all happy to get it. Although I didn't really care for the slipcase edition, especially when they said they're going to do a re-release pretty much straight away. I was like, why am I paying this like £60 for this book when I don't really need it? It's one of those things, like where I come from, there's a saying called "you can't see green cheese." It's actually that's the polite version. You can't see shit, is what you say. I can't see green cheese for passing it by. In other words, if you have green cheese and it's stinky and smelly, I want it. Even if I don't like it, I want it. And that's why I got the first slipcase edition of Something's Killing the Children.
It is one of those bizarre things, though, to not alter the version within the slipcase. You basically outright saying to people, we're only putting a box around this, and we're going to charge you like £20 more for it.
Yeah,
we're not doing anything else. We're just going to put a box around this, and you're going to pay £20 more. That is arrogance on a different level. But then what's even worse is people were buying it speculatively because the demand was so high. But now, boom! Not only did they screw people over by just putting a normal deluxe in a cardboard box, they then screwed him over by going, "Oh, yeah, we didn't print enough, so we print another one, and now the value
Too
for the
many.
original ones is just
See,
done."
that's the thing. I think initially it was Richie Ross, wasn't it, from Boom, had said it's going to be the first print. They'll all have the cardboard cover, whatever. Just the first print. So that's why everyone wanted it, because they wanted the first print. And the second print would be just the normal deluxe. But they didn't say, no, we're going to make the deluxe book first, and then make the cardboard after as a sleeve, and put 500 of those books in the sleeve and then sell it for more money. They didn't say that. Had they went along with the first print,
like, to on the same day to release a deluxe version and the same book in a slipcase, and the price difference being way more than a cardboard box is, in fairness. Like, no matter how nice it looks. And I do like the design of it loads. I think it's a really striking design, that black with the Erica Slaughter face mask. It's great. But it's not worth that different price, definitely, because the book is the same. But to then do a second print is just mental.
I think it's funny there as well, because organic price books the guy I watch on YouTube's called Bad Wolf Comics. I watch it. He does a lot of unboxing and haul videos, and he got something in recently from Organic Price Books, and they're now using the slipcase as like packaging for other like smaller books that fit in it. So they're putting smaller books in that, and then packaging that in. It's like
Mitch had one, Omnibus.
Yeah.
Mitch had one with what did he have? He had like Sentinel or something in it, didn't he? One of the or even Gideon Falls Volume 2.
That just goes to show you that this is Organic Price Books. You could sell that book and make a more profit probably. The fact that it's not selling, they can't get rid of it. So he thought, we'll just take the books out, sell those at the normal price, and we'll just use that cardboard as packaging. It's so bad.
And the mental thing is, if they had just stuck to their original thing, it probably would have still felt worth it for a lot of people. If they had just not released that second edition of the print, even with a slight colour. Now, I'm imagining that a lot of people are going to be vastly pissed off with that situation. Because a lot of people, as Pete says in the comments, but a lot of people paid a big old whack for that. A big old chunk of money for that.
Yeah.
I'm glad I skipped it. I'm glad I missed out on that, because I pre-ordered it too late. So I took it as a gamble and I didn't get it. So I've got one of the slipcase, the second prints with the red. So I'm happy with that. Saved a bit of money.
Exactly.
So still the same bloody book.
I saved myself loads of money. I had it for free from Organic Price Books. Yay!
I forgot about that advert. One of the best things I think I've ever seen. Unit to a tile. What?
If you want books, that you got to show skin. I've told you. If you want free books,
this is why he has 1,500 YouTube followers. He shows too much skin.
Well, it's not just that. Come on, no.
I'm just kidding. So that's my pickups. We've had Martin's, we've had Chris's pickups, and we're only an hour and 48 minutes in, which is good going, isn't it? But we've enjoyed this chat. Yeah. The whole point of the Omnifuss is to kind of look ahead of what's coming out. So now
we've done none of that. We better get cracking really quickly. I'll be honest.
We can go through this fairly quickly. Now, I'm not the most technically gifted in terms of trying to work this properly, so just bear with if it does not go to plan. I'm just checking I've got the right page, because I don't want to go to have some sort of something inappropriate I've maybe look at later on. Yep, that's fine. We're all good. Let's add this to stream. So this is League of Comic Geeks, which is what I use, to be fair, to see what's coming out the next week or next few weeks or so. And so we have all publishers selected. I'm only one for trade paperbacks and hardcovers, just to see what's due out over the next month of December, and see if we have anything ourselves on order that you want to maybe bring up. So the first thing I come to next week, which is the 12th of December. It's the 7th of December, but obviously Americans put the month before the day, which I also find weird. But one thing I actually want to talk about is the trade paperback. That's Radiant Red, and it's not so much Radiant Red, but it's like this whole massive first. Are any of you guys into this at the minute?
No.
I want to read this universe with Radiant Black, but I'm holding out for the deluxe hardcovers from Image.
Yeah, It's going to come, but it's one of those things. Like I can get in the Radiant Black single issues, but the problem I have with it the minute, it's kind of going. I don't want to say it's going like X-Men. It's become its own big thing. It's become too big almost. That like there's Radiant Black, there's Dead Lucky, there's Radiant Pink, there's Supermassive, there's Rogue Sun. There's all these different things, and it's all it's the guy who done the Power Rangers. What's his name? Is it Kyle Higgins? Is it
Yes.
Kyle Higgins?
Yeah.
So he done the Power Rangers, and he's trying to build this whole big universe, which I get. But it's becoming too big. And I talking to Scott recently about this because he's very big into the Radiant Black stuff as well. He loves it. He had said that you don't need to get everything. It's essentially like the DC universe is like the massive verse, whatever it's called. So you don't have to have everything. It's like you don't need to read Batman and Superman and Catwoman and Wonder Woman. You don't have to have it all. It's just
like Black Hammer as well, like we were talking earlier. Yeah,
you're right. That's what I'm taking from it. So I feel less pressure to get into the whole thing, but I do still want to get as much of as I can. I think I will, but I think I might do what you do, Martin, and wait for a hardcover of all the other stuff or some sort of big, like the Power Ranger stuff, year 1, year 2, whatever. They'll have all the stories in it. But yeah. Also coming out is Monstrous Book 2. We have read Monstrous Volumes 1 and 2 in the Nerd Herd. And Chris, you had mentioned earlier on about not feeling intelligent enough to read certain books. I felt dumb reading Monstrous. I think it was too much for me, I think, for my little brain to comprehend at times.
Monstrous was such a weird read because I've never been so opposed to colouring. It's mad how I've never read a book that the colour has put me off so much. The colouring of Monstrous, the deluxe version, volume 1, it just annoyed me. It was so beige. It was just
It was, yeah.
And honestly, I was reading it, and all I could focus on was the colouring. It was a very weird read for me, but I am going to revisit it at one point and hopefully like see beyond the colouring because the world building was great.
Yeah.
But I just didn't like the colour palette of it at all.
I like the art in terms of it was very different. Like it's not something you see that often. Obviously for the people and the faces has a very anime style almost, but yet like the world's like I don't know if it's the right term, like Art Deco or something. You know, like really kind of all like a lot of golds and stuff as well, isn't there? And it's something that I feel like for the Nerd Herd, for example, if you're reading this for a Wednesday night for the live stream and you have to rush through it, it's not good. You definitely take your time through this book. So maybe I will revisit it again. I know Scott's a big fan. He has the book 1 and he's awaiting this book 2 as well this week. So I maybe revisit it, but I'm not buying it.
You just got to make time for it because it's a heavy read, isn't it? It's not for the faint-hearted. You've got to make that time to sit and get into it.
Kingdom Black Omnibus. I am getting this stupidly because Speedy Hen had it on for like less than £60, maybe 2 or 3 months ago, and you see the $150 mark.
Less than £60 for that.
Yep.
Wow.
And it's back on Speedy Hen, £86.
I know it's gigantic.
It's a fat book as well.
It's a fat book, yeah. So I seen it. I can't say no. So I would say I've got it pre-ordered, but I'm pretty certain it's after the FOC. So I might not actually get it. Or maybe another Gotham Central where I'm waiting 6 months, 8 months to get it. But we'll see if it comes this week or not. Hasn't been dispatched so far. Hopefully it does. If it doesn't, I'm not too bothered by it because I've got the Omnibus coming out as well, which has the Kingdom Black storyline. Not to mention I have all the single issues of this. I got the whole event. I'm just upgrading to the Omnibus.
See, I'm doing that. I like Venom, and I've got pretty much every Venom Omnibus. I'm going to skip King in Black. I'm going to go for the main Venom Omnibus run and get the main.
Have you got Absolute Carnage?
No, it's the only one I haven't got. Got a lot of Venom Omnibus 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah. I have the Absolute Carnage as well. And what I will say, for me as an event, that wasn't meant to be an event, like a big Marvel event, but they made it that. But the tie-ins for that were quite good. For Kingdom Black, a lot of the tie-ins were kind of thrown in. Like there's one, what was the one called? It had like a Welsh hero, an English hero, an Irish hero, and a Scottish hero. I forget what it was called, but that was meant to be an X-Men tie-in book, and they just threw it in King and Black because the X-Men got cancelled. And it's just like you're just
Oh.
you're making stuff fit for something that didn't belong. You know
Yeah,
what I
because
mean?
you've done the prep work on
Yeah.
it. You didn't want to waste it, so you shoved it into there. Like,
So, and there were a few of the tie-ins for this, which is like, nah, they're dog shit. And I actually didn't read them all because I gave up on
I
them.
genuinely can't believe, from a marketing point of view, that they releasing these two. Originally, they were being released on the same day. From a marketing point of view, I would be like separating these two things, Van Omnibus by Cates and Stegman and this, by at least a year, because everyone is going to buy that other one. They are. The tie-ins are just not high quality enough. And I've only read them in passing, but I read the full tie-in events for for Absolute Carnage, and they were passable. They were okay, but they're not essential. They're not like as good and high quality as the main Stegman and Cates run. They just no, and so
Well,
I'll
this
be
is
waiting
worse.
for the other.
Yeah. Well, you say this here, you only have to wait a week, I believe. I think it's the 14th of December. Yep, there you go. Phenomenal by Cates and Stegman. A week apart. But
like,
this,
why do that, innit?
And the thing is, this has the King and Black, the main story for King and Black.
It's
So
got like what? Because there's 5-issue or 6-issue miniseries in there. It's got Absolute Carnage in there. Like, at least with Absolute Carnage, that was like 2 or 3 years ago that came out. Like, but now you're releasing them simultaneously. It just makes no sense. It just really doesn't. Like you're a completionist, you're gonna get them straight away, and it's gonna be a nightmare.
Well, like I say, I don't know if I'll get them straight away. It depends on Speedy Hen. I'm getting this straight away, definitely, through my shop because that's something I want to have straight away. Whereas the King and Black, I'm mixed minds on it, so I don't really care if I get it. I kind of expect not to get it because I ordered quite late, especially if their price is £86 now, so it's like £25 more, whatever than I got it for. So maybe they won't honor my price. Who knows? But I'm not that fussed if I miss out on that. To be honest,
again, that's why I'm just going to go for this. I'll get all the tie-ins digitally, and that saved me the cost now of an £87 King in Black omnibus and getting Absolute Carnage tie-ins.
Honestly, that is perfect because I can guarantee you, and I'm not being a knob saying this, you're only going to read the tie-ins once. You're not going to read them twice. You know.
I was having that moral dilemma. Was it the day before yesterday? And I was talking to my wife about what books I've got coming out and what I've bought and whatever else. And I mentioned the King and Black, and I was thinking I should really just cancel that. Like I don't need it.
Mind you, at that price, you're never going to lose any money with that ever. Really, I don't think.
That's my thinking in terms of I've got it cheaper than what it sells for, and it's at £86 is already cheaper than everywhere else. So it's $150 book. So I don't know. I'm still torn. Should I cancel this to save myself the money? But as you said before, I'm not going to get it at that price again.
No, I doubt you'd lose any money on that. Like, even if you get it and you don't even open the plastic and you think, I'll sell it, you're not going to sell for less than 60,
Yeah.
Because it's easily £60 every day of the week, that book. And if you want it, you're going to pay 60 for it.
And Absolute Carnage went out of print fairly quickly as well, so that it might follow suit. I don't know. I'm torn. I'm not. I don't know. We'll see. There's a Spawn compendium. Are you picking that up, Mark?
Nope. I've stopped with volume 2 because I feel like I've put enough money into, and I've got what I want. They're doing the hardcovers again, so they've had my money already. I'm just going to sell the compendiums at some point and just hold out for those hardcovers.
I love that. I'm going to give you a tenner, but only if you bring out that hardcover.
Well, it's worked. I'm getting them. They're coming out. Don't know when, but they're definitely coming. So I'm pleased.
Nice. This series called Grimm, I'd recommend. It's only a trade paperback, to be fair. So if they continue with it, maybe I'll do a hardcover. But it's been a solid story. It's Stephanie Phillips on writing duties. I can't think who the artist is, but it's essentially like a Grim Reaper. They all have a story of why they're a Grim Reaper and why they're there, but she doesn't. Like she didn't become a Grim Reaper for the same reason. So she stands out than everyone else. So it's just kind of her way of discovering what that is, and it's just quite interesting and a really good solid story that I would recommend. And I hope we get more of it, and maybe there'll be enough issue for a nice deluxe slipcase edition from Boom.
Her side on the cover looks super cool.
It does. The art and the covers, to be fair, like is it Jenny Frisson? Frizen, I think, and that's how I pronounce the name. But she does a lot of the covers, and it's wonderful. The other thing about the Omnibus by Kate and Stegman is that they changed the covers recently. So
Both of them.
I had ordered the normal standard cover, but they've switched it to this, which I don't mind. It's fine, but
They've switched both.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
it's
that's what I
even,
mean.
yeah, no, but
No,
if they
that-
switched both, yeah, none of those
They're
are
not
going
either.
out. Yeah.
That's not even the.
You're
normal one.
right. That's something. I ordered this one. This one here's one I ordered. So I should say, but the one we're getting is just like a random. I think nulls on the front with like random panels around them type of thing. But this is the one I actually ordered initially. I want that one. The big winged
there's
Venom sitting there. But
There's some kind of banding around it now, isn't it? And
Yeah,
there's some
yeah.
sort of framing going on.
But because the store obviously orders in advance, I didn't really. I don't order DM variants unless you get it in time. I didn't want to have to like make the guy change the order if he may not be able to anyway. So I felt bad. But you're right. I don't even think this is the DM either, or is this?
No,
the
it's
DM?
not.
No.
No, the DM's Venom's quite the main focal point on the DM.
Yeah. And why do they do this? Just if you're going to solicit the book, I know sometimes it says artwork subject to change or cover subject to change, but just like if you're prepared enough to have the solicit out, just have the cover ready to go.
I think it's most like I'm kind of of the mindset like, that it doesn't matter or whatever, but the DM I think really does matter because I think people are going out to their way to like reserve them because they are unique in own certain shops, and so it should be a bankable sale. And then messing around with the DM covers is just going to mess up pre-orders for shops. I mean, like we've seen some cases where they've literally changed the DM to the standard last minute, so all the people who didn't order the standard but ordered the DM and now can order the standard without no benefit. It's mad. And so I think the standard, whatever. But if you're going out your way to get a DM, then it should be what's advertised. I think definitely.
Completely agree.
I'd be intrigued to know. Sorry, because of the comics, the Union was that tie-in was called, by the way, for King and Black. I'm interested to know because I know Read Comics they charge more for the DM variant on their books.
I do, yeah.
They do.
So what would happen if you ordered that DM variant for the higher price to then realize, oh, I don't like this cover and I've paid more money for the one I wanted? Like you're right, it's going to balls it up slightly, and I just don't know why they do it, to be honest. But it is what it is. I'm just going to scroll through these books. If there's anything that you guys have ordered or anything that stands out, just kind of give me a shout. Like, I don't know what this Friday is. It's Ed Brubaker.
Friday is what I was going to say. Yeah, Friday you can actually pay what you want on panelsyndicate.com. It's by Ed Brubaker and Marcus Martin, who is a fantastic artist. Done some Spider-Man with Mark Waid. He done some Daredevil with Mark Waid, rather. Has done some Spider-Man. He did that one shot with Brian K. Vaughan as well for The Walking Dead.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Alien, I think it was called, and loads of other stuff. But this is like a crime comic that he's doing with Ed Brubaker. The only reason I haven't bought these already, I read the first and second issue on Panel Syndicate, and the only reason I haven't bought these already is because Ed Brubaker stupidly said that, we'll be bringing out a collected version after this volume or this volume. So I'm like, well, I'm fine waiting.
Yeah, I'll pass on that one then. I'll wait for the hardcover.
Yeah, and that's something me and Martin were talking before you joined us backstage. You'd said that they're going to release a lot of this stuff. The Brubaker Phillips stuff as well on hardcover too. But again, like stupidly saying that when they're not going to buy this, then I would imagine there will be an audience for it.
There are people like Rich. I speak to Rich all the time, and on Instagram and stuff. But he only buys trade paperback, so there is a market for it. But it's even weirder with Panel Syndicate stuff like that because you can literally go on a website, pay nothing for it, and read the whole thing. Do you know what I mean? And so I think when you print in a version of it, you have to have something a bit more bells and whistles to it. Like when they did Private Eye with Marcus Martin and Brian K. Vaughan, and they brought that out through Image Comics. They brought it out as a straight hardcover panoramic comic. And so it had a bit more to it. You know, all like 10 or 11 issues collected in one. Whereas this it's like 4 or 5 issues in the first trade paperback, then the same in the second. It doesn't. There's not really that urgency with me to read it, even though I absolutely adore the writer and the artist. I'm fine waiting. I'm absolutely fine waiting. Like,
Yeah. Was the first one of this volume 1 as a black and white cover, wasn't it? I'm just trying to picture it. It was black and white cover.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that was it. Yeah, it was like snowy
Yeah.
ground and then black and white on the top. Yeah.
I'd heard a lot about it, so it's something I might check out.
It's honestly, it's really good. Yeah, panelsyndicate.com. You can just jump on here and read the first couple of issues. It literally is just pay as you go. So if you want to give them 2p or 50p to read an issue, you can. If you want to give them a tenner, you can. Pay as you go.
That sounds good because the 2p sounds good because I'm a tight arse, to be honest. So that's good. Anything else that stands out? I mean, Star Wars is that anyone a Star? I know you like Star Wars, Martin, but I don't.
Yeah, I'll be getting that. I think this is a event book because it pulls in a few things from more current runs. So it brings in like Darth Vader and Dr. Aphra. It's like a crossover. So I'm going to pick that one up. I try to pick up most of the modern stuff, like 2015 onwards. So
have they stopped reprinting the Dark Horse stuff over in Marvel yet? The Star Wars.
I think they're still doing it. They're still doing it. But they're coming to the end of it now. So I don't know how much there is of it. I didn't think there's much more to print. But I don't get any of the Dark Horse stuff. I only get them from Jason Aaron's 2015 reboot sort of thing. I go from there. So
right.
See, I'm not a Star Wars guy. I like Star Wars, but again, that's one of those ones similar to I was talking about the Radiant Black thing. If something becomes too big, I just tend to ignore it. I don't want to get into it. But you had said to me last time, Martin, actually, what was it? Is it the Bounty
Vader? Vader by Soul.
The Vader one. Yeah, you can start with that.
I love that. That was such a good run, and it tied in with the movies, so it made me feel like I was getting more from the film franchise.
Yeah.
So it just felt like it was worth a read.
Here's one I know that Highland G would like. I think actually may already have this, or definitely referred to this. I think Afro Samurai.
I think Marcus had it in his haul the other day.
Was it? Yeah. Like I know Highland G loves the samurai stuff, which I don't know too much about to talk about. It's a true paperback, but this Jane Foster and the Mighty Thor is written by Torunn Grønbekk, and Torunn Grønbeck's my new favorite person in the world. Connie will vouch for it. She's just lovely. She's just really lovely. Yeah, she's a really talented writer, and she's a proper artist as well. And she's really cool. And she's going to be writing Thor soon. I think Donny Cates is taking a step back at the minute from writing comics, and she's going to be jumping into the main Thor run with Nick Klein. And I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, Torunn Grønbekk, you call her, Norwegian. She's check her Instagram. She's lovely. I don't think there's anything else that stands out here for you guys. I don't want to venture too far. Is that the DM version? You getting that one, Martin? The DM?
Yeah, I like the standard, but then now the DM, there's not much price difference in it because this is only about 57 quid. That book, so it's not expensive for a DM.
Oh, look, there's some Attack on Titan omnibus, and there's some Usagi Yojimbo.
I'll be getting that Usagi Yojimbo because I'm doing a little custom bind of those ones.
Oh, nice. I have the hardcover Usagi, the one you got for me. I delivered to your house and you sent it over to me. I still haven't read that yet.
That was only like a year ago.
I really should read that, to be really honest. But yeah, I'm just gonna skip through this, to be honest. The Thing, that's not something that interests me anyway. I know that.
No, skipping that.
Something naughty. But yeah. So that's, and you would think December they wouldn't have that much, but they do. Call it the Christmas. Batman Catwoman. Can I just say, like, this? It's gonna be a hardcover. Like, it's gonna be a standard size hardcover. I believe it should be an oversized because the art on this is by Clay Mann, and he's a phenomenal artist for Batman. Like, he's one of those ones that I can't see him doing anything else. But for Batman, the Catwoman book, great. The problem with this is, if you're a Tom King fan, you'll enjoy it. If you're not a Tom King fan, you won't. It's Tom King essentially finishing his story that he was trying to write on the main Batman run, but then got booted off because nobody was buying that because
He had long enough to do it. He hit like 100 issues. How much more issues do you need to tell your story?
It was no. He wanted the 100. He got cut short, like 80 something, I think. It was meant to be 100 issues. I got kicked off it because this. My understanding is that the Immortal Hulk was selling more than Batman, and DC couldn't accept that, so they had to cut. They had to cut Tom King off it, and then they brought in. They brought Tinian in, and they brought somebody else in before and someone after, and whole big mess up. But he got a chance to finish the story here in Batman Catwoman. What's to be fair, I actually quite enjoyed.
I might
It's
skip
crazy,
that.
and it is mad how they don't give, like, the creators on Batman normally do like their best stuff after years on the line, like they really do. That's true, by the way, isn't it?
Not at all.
Yeah, but no, like if you look at Snyder didn't just rock up and start writing the Court of Owls. Like there was a build up. There was a couple of years prior.
Yeah, 'cause he was on Detective for a while, wasn't he?
Yeah, and same with Tinian and Tom King. As far as I'm aware, didn't like do a prolonged stint on Detective Comics writing Batman. He went straight into the main line, and it does take a while to get stuff. And plus, when you crap like Tom King, it doesn't help, does it?
And to be fair, if anyone's actually interested in getting that hardcover, I probably wouldn't bother, because if they release Omnibus for it, they'll no doubt do what they did with Snyder, because they put The Last Night on Earth in the back end of Volume 2. They will do that with Batman Catwoman.
That's what they're doing. Is like even Marvel the same. They no longer do an omnibus for the character. It's whoever was on the run, like the run. So it's Tom King. It's going to be the Tom King omnibus.
Yeah, DC have done that for years. They've always, like Marvel, very much. I don't know why, but Marvel have always kind of gone like collection-based, runs.
But they're changing now, Marvel, definitely.
Yeah, they are a little bit. They are, you're right. But in general, like, you look at Hellblazer as a perfect example. Like Hellblazer, I think, has only got one omnibus, and that is a Garth Ennis omnibus, a creator exclusive one. When you look at the scale of Hellblazer out there, it's just astounding how there's no more omnibuses and stuff like that.
Yeah, Hellblazer's one I need to get into. And Preacher too. I don't know why they're not the same thing, but like I associate them together. They're both Black Label or Vertigo, aren't they?
Yeah.
Gwenpool, that's not something I like the Spider-Man kind of stuff, and I like Deadpool, but I'm not Gwenpool. Isn't for me.
I've heard good things about it though. That's what made me intrigued. I've heard it's a fun run, so I might check it out digitally first. Try and read a few issues before I even think about entertaining that.
One I know you are getting is the Miles Morales Spider-Man, because I bought your the first. I bought this one off you. The second one?
Yeah, that's the standard cover now. I wanted the DMs, so I've gone for the DMs.
Why did you sell it? Why did you sell it, Phil?
Phil needed it, so.
To be fair,
I need lots of stuff too, so I send you a list.
To be fair, you'd said to me, because they're like the first two that were released, I have the first one off it, but they've changed the name, haven't they? And they've changed the Volume 1 and 2 and whatever else. I think the content's the same. I believe it's
exactly the same. They've just changed the title on the cover.
They've rebranded it.
Because I was going to pre-order this anyway, because I wanted the book, and then I think you'd say that you were considering selling it, and then you just use the money, I'm assuming, to buy it anyway, the same kind of price. So it was a good deal, Chris. Good deal.
Honestly, Miles Morales is such a good Spider-Man. So good. Like when in the original volume, the first, like they didn't call it Volume 1, but now they call it Volume 1. But in that original Ultimate Spider-Man, Miles Morales, when what an emotional, action-packed roller coaster ride! It's brilliant. I love that.
It's so good that I'm getting Miles immortalized at the minute.
Are you? Oh yeah.
It's just a black smudge, to be fair, because it has the wrap on it. But
that's a pretty cover.
There's the DM.
That is good.
You know what I mean? It's beautiful.
That's the
my
one that was
favorite
like,
run in the series. And my favorite run is that Venom story arc in that, because that it packs such an emotional wallop. It's amazing.
that's the one I have. It's the covers like him coming out of a taxi or something. The cover's black and yellow, isn't it? That's that book. Yeah. Okay. Just want to make sure I haven't missed out on something.
Yeah, he's on the side of a taxi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said a cab because it's like New York. So
There's another one there on my hit list: Superman Birthright Deluxe Edition.
oh, nice.
I think I owned it. Was it the original? Have they released that in deluxe edition before?
I think they have, but it's out. It's been long out of print.
Yeah, I think I sold that years ago. But yeah, I read it a few times and I wasn't going to read it again. But I'm sure I had the first one of that years ago and sold it on.
Who is the writer on that?
It's Mark Waid, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mark Waid.
So
Or as Marcus would say, are we allowed to say what Marcus would say, Phil?
yeah, I'm okay. It's past 9:30. It's fine.
Oh, I can't bring myself to it in case my children watch later.
Oh dear. If you love Tom King and you like Strange Adventures, that's another Tom King book. That's a trade paperback. There is a hardcover out there at the minute anyway. The Death of Superman. This kind of caught my eye in terms of, I don't really know about the story, but the omnibus keeps coming in and out of print, and like came in recently and then went out again. Like it's gone really quickly, and now they're bringing this out. I don't see the point really.
I snagged the omnibus when it came back out.
I might get it if it comes out again. To be honest, or if it's still out there, I'm not really sure. But yeah, I have this trade paperback, which I read and enjoyed it, but I wouldn't be upgrading to that. But I know some people may well do that. Absolute Swamp Thing.
Yeah, I'm trying to avoid it. I'm trying my best to avoid it.
If you've got the Bronze Age omnibus, don't bother. It's the same thing.
It's exact same thing. But I'm just trying myself. I'm trying desperately to kind of be more creative focused with these big sprawling narratives like Spider-Man or something, and just going, right, I just want that person's run, and I'm trying my best to just write. Alan Moore's run is fine for something. I know Bernie Wrightson and all these other people have done good, but let's focus on that and try my best.
Yeah, but still, it's an absolute edition, Chris. That's your favorite.
It's pretty absolute as well.
Yeah. I take it this is the DM one you're getting, Martin. This cover here.
Yeah, that's the DM. I'm not sure if it's been delayed to the start of January now, though. I'm not sure.
Right. I need to work out my sources and try to find the most up to date, because clearly we have the wrong covers for Venom Omnibus. So
I know. What's all the Omnibus around about?
Exactly.
It's about out of date material. That's what it's about.
Yeah. Well, we don't know here anyway. That's for sure. We don't know what it's about. But yeah, nothing here that's done out to me. Anyone else? There's Finland Saga, volume 13.
One more before it finishes, and that is a first day buy. Blind buy, actually. That would be a blind buy. I won't read any of that. That is an absolute blind buy because the series has been phenomenal.
I'm getting that.
I'm tempted. To be honest,
that's the second print of that as well, isn't it? The Dan Slott, right?
I think it is, yeah. And it's not too expensive either. It's one of the kind of cheaper, like £57, I think, on Forbidden Planet. I think.
Yeah, it's currently on Books Etc. as well. If you want to pick it up now.
How much?
We are not affiliated.
No,
£1
cheaper.
Bribes.
£1 cheaper than Forbidden Planet, but I've already
free postage. Free postage, isn't it?
Yep.
Nice. That may be something I may pick up. We're not affiliated yet, but Books Etc. Speedy Hen, we've mentioned you a few times as well. If you want to get in touch, send me some free books. I'll make an advert. I'll wear a taller in my head.
Yeah,
it's not a problem.
Can I interject? I've made award-winning adverts already, so if you want to get in touch with me, Chris it off my shelves, you can get in touch with me.
So the funny thing is, I remember speaking to Chris before he even submitted his entry, and he says to me, he says, "I'm going to send an entry to this competition, and I will win it." Like he told me he was going to win it before he won. And I applaud that. Like he knew he was going to win that, and he did. Well done, fantastic.
When you put your mind to something.
Is this the? Are you getting
what's that?
The
Birthright again.
I think
the DM cover.
Is it? Because I thought that. Oh.
Yeah,
I thought that was
Don't be trusting this source before you establish that. So we don't
I didn't know it was getting a DM. I thought that was the original sort of cover art they posted, and then they updated it to the one we previously saw. I prefer the previous one.
Yeah, me too. I don't like this Gwenpool DM cover either. The kind of I don't like
It's
that.
very saga-y, isn't it? It's very saga-like.
Do you know the history behind that?
No.
It was actually when Gwenpool was created, they had loads of different just cover artists doing different pictures of different versions of Gwenpool, and that's what that is. That was her sort of like one-off cover, and that's what they put as the DM. So it's actually quite cool when you think about it. It's like her first proper appearance is that photo.
Yeah.
And then that's what instigated the hype for the character and what made a series out of it.
Oh.
So that's Bacalo. Is he the one who passed recently? Did he pass a few weeks ago?
I'm not sure.
No. I'm gonna get my names
Not
mixed
sure.
up. If I'm wrong, I do apologize. I don't know. We'll move on. Here's one for Chris because it's Dark Horse. And to be fair, I'm gutted because on the Saturday at Thought Bubble, is it Zach Kaplan? I think's the name. He was there at Thought Bubble and he had this book, and I seen him on the Saturday on the way out back to the bed, and I thought I'll come back here tomorrow and get a copy of that and get it signed. But I completely forgot. So yeah, don't know what it's about. It's just I heard it's good. So it's something that maybe Chris will do a hardcover collection video on in a couple of years' time.
Who knows? I'm busy trying to read. Desperately trying to read. Oh, Connie mentioned Fire Force earlier, actually. Fire Force is a really popular manga. But yeah, it's on 30 volumes with no hope of slowing down, yeah. But it's supposed to be very good.
Yeah, when I know you're saying 30, it's like a nice issue of a comic. I can't be doing 30. I can't. Life Zero hardcover, Blaze Comics. They're the guys who done Vampire State Building. I think, Connie, if I'm right, that you got this free recently. What was it? There's some site she's on, like a member, and you get kind of like volunteer to get these books sent to you for free to read. And I think she got these sent to her, but I could be wrong. Let us know what it was and if it was good. But yeah, it's a Blaze. Kanto, by the way, is something that 100%, like Chris, I don't know if you read any Kanto stuff, but if it ever gets a hardcover, that's got to be a day one purchase.
I've read the first volume digitally, and I was like, yeah, I'll wait, because to be honest, if is it anything like IDW normally are, they gonna just do a collected edition of every little offshoot and every one shot at some point? Because IDW they got track record of just doing that, so I was quite confident that it'll come out as a nice chunk with volume 1, 2, and all the one shots involved at some point. Didn't you mention, actually, or someone mentioned, maybe it was Scott, that they had announced it or hinted at it, the hardcover of that?
Yes, it was on the Instagram. I don't know if it was Drew Sucker or David Boher, who's the writer on Instagram, had mentioned it. I think somebody asked them, "Are you going to release a hardcover?" And they just kind of says, like, I can't remember the word they use, but like, watch this space, essentially. So it's inevitable. I mean, it's going to be an animated show, I think, as well. So once
that would make a great animated show, it really would.
But once that comes out, like we're saying, that's the time to strike. Get the hardcovers out, get the merchandise out. By all means, I will buy it, because Kanto. Granted, I haven't read this one yet. Kanto is fantastic. Absolutely love it, and the first volume is wonderful. And Connie, to be fair, I remember I sent Connie something fairly recently, a pop, and I was going to send the first volume of Kanto because she said you hadn't read it. And I was sitting with the book in my hand, about to put it in the box to send to her. And I thought, no, I'll wait until the hardcover comes out before I get rid of that. So sorry, Connie, for telling you that I was going to send you it but didn't send you it. So sorry.
I'll probably take a look at that when the hardcovers come out, because IDW are really good with their mapping.
Yeah. And there's a few things like random one shots and things and side quests and stuff like that as well. So in terms of like the map and stuff, it'd be quite interesting how they do it. But yeah, definitely. I mean, Kanto is one of those things that I want my kids to read. I want to read it with my kids as well when they're old enough, because that's fantastic. It's lovely. It's tragic. That's lovely. So yeah.
I'm just looking now, and yeah, Ultimate Spider-Man seems to be delayed until like mid-January now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, Marvel have been quite good recently with I know the Venom stuff. I think either Venom or Kingdom Black was delayed by a month or two, but they seem to have been okay on schedule fairly recently. But maybe that's just one that's
They had to spread things out a little bit because they didn't release anything middle of the year. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I had a couple of months where I literally spent nothing.
yeah.
And then all of a sudden, all these releases are coming up. So I think they've had to sort of spread them out a little bit because they've just released too much. Because I think Ultimate Spider-Man, Spider-Geddon, and another one, Spider-Man 2099, they were all due at the end of this year. So they've all been pushed back. And Spider-Man versus Venom, they're spreading out as much as like March, April now. They've just pushed them all out.
That's okay, though. I don't mind that. I think the last Marvel omnibus I bought might have been The Amazing Spider-Man Volume 1. I'm just thinking. And that was July or something ridiculous. So, yeah. We've done well. A few manga books there, Chris, but anything that stands out?
No.
I'll be getting No Guns Life. It's a bit of a cyberpunk thing. It's like a cyberpunk thing. The main character's got a gun for a head. He's sort of like he's got injured in war, and then he came back and they replaced his head, and he's like a private eye with a big like revolver on his head. I've got like the first 12 volumes, so I'll no doubt get that. That's
madness. Like a head transplant. He comes back from war with like no head. Here's a gun. Like madness.
It's crazy, but yeah, it's sort of stuff I like in the manga. Weird and wonderful.
And look,
you'd like Chainsaw Man then, because it sounds very similar in many ways. Like,
I'm looking into the last week of December. Where's Once and Future? We'll wait for the second hardcover for that to come out before we talk about that. There's the Nightwing. This is the standard hardcover, like we discussed earlier on. I don't see the point in the standard hardcover, but Nightwing is very good and it looks phenomenal as well.
That cover is lush.
Yeah,
that cover is awesome.
There's an issue of Nightwing, and it's Bruno Redondo's the artist, and like the whole book, like the single issue, like 26 pages, is like it's all one scene. So it's like the Nightwing just walking through buildings and jumping across and across balconies and stuff. It's just all one scene. The people are actually cutting it out and putting it across their wall. You know, the layout, the map. It's really artistic, I suppose. Like doing things like that. But yeah, I'm a fan of Nightwing this run, and I'm a fan of the art. It's fantastic.
See, will they do that with the omnibus? Because in the Death and Return of Superman, you've got a fold-out page.
Oh, yeah.
So will they do that where you can fold out that one issue to read it as one long?
I couldn't imagine they could do 26 or whatever, I know with ads and things, maybe 20 pages. How big is the one in the Superman book?
I think it's just a sort of a double open-up one. Yeah. It's not massive.
Same as the Ultimates, the Ultimates omnibus with Mark Miller.
Yes.
They did that. Nah.
It'd be too many to do for a full issue, but again, over a few fold-out pages, maybe, but it wouldn't have the same effect.
Because it will get an omnibus. That will be Nightwing's next Omni.
You think?
I guarantee it. Yeah. With Tom Taylor's name on it, that'll go straight out.
Yeah. Batman: Shadows of the Bat. This came out of Detective Comics. It's a 12-issue run. I have the single issues and I read it. I really, really enjoyed it. It's one of those ones that the single issues were oversized. They charged more because they had a second story, which I see is below it, the House of Gotham. The Tower, or I should pronounce the word properly, not the Northern Ireland way. The Tower. It's basically about Arkham is being destroyed. They're using this big kind of skyscraper to kind of look after the patients, but there's also a lot of sinister things going on. Scarecrow's involved, but Batman's out of the picture. It's a Batwoman story, and like Nightwing and Huntress and somebody else, they're all like undercover in this new Arkham asylum, and it's great. It's really interesting and really good. The only bad thing I'll say about it is I'm not going to spoil the ending, but Batman comes back and like saves the day. It's like he gave everyone else like the 10 issues to like fully do everything with them, and then Batman comes back. I love Batman, don't get me wrong, but even there, Batman's like massive on the cover.
I know he's like the Hulk Hogan of comics.
Just comes in the last
he'll
3
give it all,
and
then he'll win the title at the end. Don't you worry.
But yeah, that's something I'd recommend. Predator, that's something that interests me, but again, like Alien, I think it's just too much of it, and it's coming quite quickly for like £100 book, whatever it's going to be. I don't think I'm going to do it. But is that something you guys are
In
interested in?
fairness, I think that's more for like us tapping into that market of people who read or watched the originals and have a fondness for the series. I think more than anything, because again, it's reprinting the stuff that was over in Dark Horse, I guess.
Yeah, Dark Horse.
Yes.
Yeah.
Same as the Alien stuff. It's all Dark Horse
Yeah.
stuff.
And they've rebooted it obviously for the Marvel years type of thing in terms of like the single issues, and it's quite highly praised as a run. So that I'm hoping that's a good starting point. And if they do an omnibus in 30 or so issues, I might just jump on that as opposed to going back and reading the original. It's kind of like the Star Wars stuff. Like you're saying, have a separate starting point, and this could be for fans of the previous stuff. Sleeper, Brubaker and Phillips. I may grab this, and that'll be a blind buy because basically everyone's saying buy it because you'll not see it again.
Well, I've pre-ordered it at 2 places.
Yes.
I'm going to buy it as well. I'll probably buy Martin's one off him. He's going to have to.
Whoever dispatches first is the one I'm having. That's pretty much how I've done it.
Nice. But yeah, that's again, I don't know nothing about it, if I'm being honest, but like I say, it's Brubaker Phillips. Even if you went into that blind, you think you kind of know roughly what you're going to get.
It isn't like, I would say if you've ever read Brubaker and Phillips stuff, or if you've never read it rather, I would say there's better ones for you to jump into at the start, like Kill or Be Killed, or other things like that. Fatal or Criminal. Obviously, it's not the ultimate best, but it's solid enough, I think.
Well, you brought it up there. We gave me a point. We're talking about this before that they had Brubaker announced or Phillips announced that those ones you've mentioned, they're all coming back into the hardcover print again or reprintings. Is that right?
Kill or Be Killed should have been done ages ago, in fairness.
Kill or Be Killed it is out in January, I believe.
There was such a demand for that. They should have done that ages ago because the third party market was ridiculous for that book.
There's a lot of questions going on about this at the moment because there's been solicitations for it to come out in the end of January for Kill or Be Killed. You've had Sean Phillips stay on Twitter responding to somebody that he has no idea it's coming out. But then you've got Brubaker has put a comment out on an interview saying that he's currently talking with his publisher to get not only Kill or Be Killed and stuff reprinted, but things like Fade Out, is it Fatal?
Yeah, Fatal,
and some other ones that are out of print, getting them back into print. So definitely keep your eyes open because I think we're going to be seeing some more Brubaker Phillips on the horizon.
Yeah, I'm trying to find beer. There's a newsletter that you can subscribe to with Ed Brubaker. Normally, that's pretty good to find out direct from the horse's mouth. Like I'm trying to remember the bloody name of it now. Ed Brubaker's newsletter. Subscribe.
Yeah, I do subscribe to that. Before I subscribe to that, I subscribe to Chip Zdarsky, James Tinian, quite a few of them. Like the free ones, like some people charge for a newsletter, which is ridiculous. I'm not going to pay for that. And I get them. I don't tend to read them. I just like, sounds interesting. And then that's it. But yeah, there's the Predator DM. Like if I was buying it, that's the one I would buy, to be fair. As good as the other one is, I love that image, that kind of art style. That looks great. Captain Marvel, I assume none of us are touching that.
Awesome.
There's the Court of Owls trade paper.
Again, that mask version is being printed so many times, it's insane. That must be like the 10th or 11th print of that, easy.
Brian Boland poster portfolio. I actually have a few of these. I've Art Germs 1 and 2. I've got Jim Lee. I think I may have a 4th one, I think. And they're actually quite good. Like essentially they are just like oversized books where you can like rip out the poster and put it in a frame and whatever else. And they're still in the book. I'm not going to have them all around my little shed here, but I just like the idea of having them. I might get that because I like the Brian Boland stuff again, just to have for no reason other than that. But I don't pay that price for it. Usually Amazon will get it quite cheap. after a few weeks because no one buys them. So once they reduce the price, that's when I strike. Fist of the North Star Volume 7. I'm not getting it now, but it's something if I enjoy the first two, I'll definitely be jumping onto this before it gets too far ahead of itself, or ahead of me. And Baby Teeth, that's something. It's Donna Cates and Gary Brown. I know that's quite popular. I think
Yeah,
people
I've
are
heard
kind of
good
fan of
things
it.
about that as well. I haven't looked at it.
I
And then you
might-
got a Spawn Origins. What, 5 or 6?
5.
5.
Yeah,
Is that
these are the thicker ones because I have such an issue with some big omnis with like page sag. These are 2 of like your standard image hardcovers put together. So I'm waiting for the normal ones, like The Walking Dead, that sort of size. I'm waiting for those to be reprinted to get them because they'll be nicer on the shelf.
Speaking of Walking Dead, I'm collecting the Walking Dead ones, and Chris got me a good deal as well. So I bought Chris.
I did.
Off him. I think me and Martin were going to be fighting over it at some point because I think Martin, you had said as well.
You
you
offered
wanted
it to
them.
both.
No. When I saw them, I knew you wanted them, so I sort of kept quiet and I thought I'd let Phil contact Chris.
Yeah, but that's something. I mean, I've got another 6 still to go. 16 in total.
I think you got 6. No, you haven't got 6 to go because you got up to 11 now, haven't you? Oh, no, you got up to 10.
10, so yeah, I think
so
there's
6 to go, yeah.
So yeah, that's just the Captain Marvel DM. No, you're not getting that. I don't know what this is. The official
No,
handbook.
just
from
move on
Omniverse.
from that. They are the most pointless omnibuses ever, those, I think. When
Yeah.
they collect in like a year or a Marvel handbook or stuff like that.
Vampire Hunter D. That's something you're into, Chris. Yeah. Again,
Yeah.
I'm just going to be like anything Dark Horse when I ask you the question. Do you like this one?
Yeah, I love Vampire Hunter. I got like a couple of signed versions of that I got, but I don't want to show them off because I'm not too, I'm not that
All
type
right,
of guy.
okay. Not going to name drop or anything, no.
No.
Well, it's like, I mean, I was making this joke and jibing earlier on. You mentioned Killer Be Killed, by the way, getting a reprint. I mean, it's only the second best image book, isn't it, behind Saga? There's an official poll someone did on YouTube, and Killer Be Killed came second.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I haven't read Saga, but from my experience so far, Killer Be Killed's top for me. So
I would agree. I think that poll is wrong.
Yeah, well, somebody was playing funny buggers and put Killer Be Killed in everyone's choices.
That person was genius.
Yeah,
No.
I agree with that.
Yeah. So yeah, that is everything pretty much for the month of December coming out, and yeah, that is what all the Omnifuss is all about. Is there anything else you guys want to discuss while we're here before we? I mean, we're only 2 hours 37 minutes in. I remember saying to Martin like the other day, I'll try to condense it under an hour.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah,
It's not gonna happen.
Under an hour. Look how badly you've done.
It's like 150% more than what I wanted to do.
Well done.
But yeah, that is, folks. We'll wrap it up, I suppose. Really, that's what the Omnifuss is all about. That's what's coming out. We've got our pickups. We've got our. I ain't going to our recent reads because we'll be here for another hour and a half. So we'll just leave it at that. Thanks everyone for joining us. Chris, do you have anything coming up in your channel that you want to promote, discuss?
There's not that I want to promote necessarily. If you subscribe, it'll pop up. But there's a few books. Like I think I got something in every Sunday for the next 6 or 7 weeks. I think.
Nice.
So there'll be something until I get bored again.
It doesn't matter what the book is. Chris is there, so that's good.
There you
That's a
go.
good
See,
selling
thank
point.
you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Martin, you're also not on YouTube. You can find Martin on Instagram. I have his link below. Chris, I'll add your details below as well. I didn't have them, unfortunately, to hand.
The last
short notice. Thing. Yeah. And well, I'm sure. Like, listen, if they're watching me on the Nerd Herd, they're going to know who you are and where to find you. If anything, you should put your link. Our link in your channel for us.
No, I'm very famous YouTube personality nowadays. Windswept and interest in me.
Well, we're the ones getting sponsored by Speedy Hen and Books, etc. Hopefully, God willing. So we'll see how that goes. But on the Nerd Herd, this coming Wednesday, we are continuing with our festive reads. We have Red Xmas. That is coming up on Wednesday. That's Scott's pick. So check us out live there. If not, then we will have the usual podcast and replay after that. So anyway, folks, that is the end of us. We'll get another one organized for not in December, probably the end of January, in all fairness, because it's Christmas and New Year, and I'm really, really lazy. But thanks for joining us. Thanks a lot. See you later.
Thank
Bye.
you.
See ya.